All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Brass Tack Bodybuilding. I am here again with Niall Darwen, or One Punch Nas. How you doing, man?
Good man, I'm good. It's been a while, bro. It's like 7 months or something since the last, maybe even longer, right?
Definitely
Since the
longer.
last time, I
Yeah,
feel like I jumped someone like March or April.
yeah, I think it was probably a year ago, honestly, because you were
Yeah,
on
that's
like
great.
the second episode with Jesse
Yeah,
and
and Adam.
Adam. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's right. So for those of you who don't know who Nas is, I'm sure most of you do. He recently turned pro. What, 2 years ago now?
it's like a year and a half. So 2022 summer. Yeah, so it's going on now, man.
Oh, so you're already seasoned, and you've done how many pro shows?
That I've only done the Arnold, which was like 5 weeks after I turned pro, and then I've got my first like real pro show in June.
Yeah, so you're
First
getting ready
week
to
of
make
June.
like your real pro debut because the other one was right
Yeah,
after you turned pro.
yeah.
Yeah. So what I really want to talk about here is the transformation that you've made in this past off season, which is fucking insane. And I'm gonna pull it up here for anybody who hasn't seen this, which I could figure out how to do. How the fuck do you do this? Do you know how to do this? Show screen.
I think if you're recording, you should just
Oh,
you'll
share
you should
screen. Share screen. Okay.
yeah,
There we go. Okay, can you see it?
yeah.
Yeah. So what is the fucking weight difference between these? What's the time frame? This is fucking
So
insane.
the pictures on the left, they're both January, and then the pictures on the right are like literally 2 days ago. So I'm actually, a few weeks into my prep now. So they're
Wait,
not,
wait,
you
wait.
know,
January, as in 3 months ago?
no, January 2023.
Okay, I was gonna say that's fucking
Yeah.
insane. I mean,
No,
it's still
January.
insane, but that's yeah,
And then yeah, pictures on the right are like about 4 weeks into prep now, 3 weeks into prep. So on the left, I'm like 228, I think. On the right now, I'm like 248.
228,
So
248. Holy shit. Okay, so it's 30 pound difference. Oh no,
yeah,
yeah. Wait, 228. No, 220 pound difference.
20
Um,
pounds. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And you're obviously leaner on the right
Mhm.
too, which
Yeah,
is
yeah, like a few weeks into prep now. I probably got into better condition like just through the off season as I went. But yeah, man,
yeah.
it was a lot of fucking work.
You're just fucking back is crazy. Your glutes are
Yeah.
shredded. This is absolutely insane. So a little over a year between these pictures. What would you say is the biggest? What is this the most that you've improved in a single offseason in a year?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, the off season before I turned pro was like similar duration. Um, Probably like, I mean, training wise, I always said last time in the podcast, like I've just been training for longer, so I just know how to train better. Like in terms of training's failure, execution, all those things. Um, and then it's honestly just the food, but like, I was locked in for this diet like the whole year. I didn't really, even when I was like ill and things like that, I still was able to get calories in. It's just like the mindset shift because obviously on the left, like I was like just a pro, obviously still trained out very hard and dieted harder than most people, but like on the right, I've had over a year of being a pro and just like surrounding myself with other pros, watching other pros, just kind of even just like letting the result of the Arnold marinate because I got last place. So I had a whole year of just in my head, like just thinking about, I haven't beaten a single pro yet. So I'm, we all have the goal of getting to the Olympia. So I have a lot of fucking work to do. So it was just literally just spend the time putting the work in.
Absolutely. So what would you say is the biggest contributing factor here that allowed you to put on this much size? Did you eat more than you usually? Do you think the
Yeah,
training is
yeah.
just different?
Food was very high. I think obviously as well, my old coach was great, but my new coach now, Callum, obviously he like over here, his business is the pro coach. He's worked with a bunch of pros, took a bunch of people to the Olympia. So it's like, his knowledge and then I guess like my work ethic, and I do think I'm pretty coachable. I haven't had a problem with anything he said. I've literally it's literally just been any updates, whether it's in terms of food or training. I'll just do them. Like this year, I literally just did last year I did absolutely everything as perfect as I could all the way through. So I haven't had a transformation like that. Like I was sending him updates like every four, like, well, I sent him every week, but like every 4 weeks, it was just like something would just be like drastically different, you know, like, especially through my back. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I grew like an actual back, you know.
Yeah, it's actually, yeah, it's insane. So would you say this is the first time, like the first off season where you've really, I guess, treated it like a prep, or how were you in the past? Was there more like leniency, flexibility? Would you like kind of deviate from the plan more, and like you were just 100% more locked in this time around?
Yeah, I mean, I was last time I was working as a PT, you know, so it's never ideal because the hours like they're not consistent, you know, like some days I'll be working till 7 p.m. and then I'll be back in the gym at like 5 a.m. the next day, you know what I mean? And just trying to fit all my food around that, training around that as well. Um, Whereas on the right here, like, you know, I have just my coaching business, and apart from that, which is living a pro bodybuilding lifestyle, like I've made my life work around bodybuilding rather than the other way around, you know, working bodybuilding around your life.
Yeah, so bodybuilding is just basically the number one priority. Everything
Yeah.
comes second at this
Yeah.
point, which it just goes to show, even, just the power of all the little things add up, pennies add up to dollars. Like the little shit that you might skip out on in the past. You maybe miss a meal here and there. It might not seem like much, but like you miss a meal once a month. That's whatever,
Yeah.
fucking 12 meals a year. Still might not seem like a lot, but it can, it adds up. It's usually more than that, but it's just the little things that allow you to make these big jumps, you would say, right? It's just the 100%
Yeah.
consistency being locked in, like you're in prep.
And then you got to think about like the kind of people I'm competing against, you know, they're already, a lot of them are seasoned, a lot of them are the same size as me, if not bigger, you know. So again, like you're saying, if you're allowing yourself to miss meals, you just constantly, every time that I look at it as every time the way you miss a session, not in terms of recovery, but you know, if you just miss a session just because you're lazy, or you maybe, you know, skip things like bloods, or you don't treat health phases properly, or again, you miss meals, you're just pushing yourself backwards while your competition is moving forwards. And obviously, you know, like from a genetic point of view, we're all moving at a fast fucking rate, you know, a lot faster than the average lifter.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. You don't see, I mean, you see it obviously at the top, you see people make crazy improvements, but to make this much improvements at the level that you were already at uh in a year is absolutely fucking insane. So, I mean, yeah, where do you, let's exit off of this. Are we still recording? Yeah, we are still recording. What do you think people, where do you think people go wrong with approaching their off seasons for the most part, especially because you coach too. So, in your
Yeah,
experience with
honestly,
yourself.
I think it's like, I mean, at least in my experience, like the ego thing, you know, like, I mean, you know, you're the same. You had a coach for your last prep, and it's like sometimes you'll look in the mirror or you'll just think things, and you have to like just let the thoughts pass rather than act on them. You know, a lot of people. I've coached a lot of kids. I've had to drop kids. You know, I've had to not physically, you know, just drop them from coaching, but like, because they can't stick to a diet plan. You know, I have people the second that they maybe lose a bit of condition. They're naturally leaner guys. So they lose a bit of condition, they freak out, you know, and they
Yeah.
can't stick to the meal plan, or they just don't like. I don't think they understand how hard eating to grow actually is, you know, especially when you already have like a muscular frame, like trying to push more food in. And then you've also, you know, you've got to maintain a decent level of condition. You obviously, the level of fatigue you have from if you train properly makes you not really want to eat anyway because you're so tired. And then again, you know, if you don't have a lifestyle like mine where it's all around bodybuilding, you might be up at certain times not really wanting to eat, or you have to force yourself to get up earlier so you have enough time in the day to get those meals in. And I think that a lot of people just aren't really willing to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think as well, like it's the ego, man. Like a lot of people, when you like the way I am with my clients, I'll break their training down, you know, and say like this is shit, you know, this is good, that you need to train this way. And a lot of people like they don't like that because maybe in their gym they were benching a certain way and the reps were shit, and now I've made them do it a certain way and they've just lost like 15-20 pounds off the weights they were using immediately. And if they did that for 6 weeks, the chest and the delts, which suck, would improve, but they'd rather just lift that weight that looks cooler, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Hold on. Pick your phone up. I want to see if there's a difference.
Hold on. If I hold it, if I hold it right here, is it better?
That is better. That is, yeah. It's bouncing off of whatever you have it sitting on.
I'll try and move this closer.
But
Right.
yeah,
Is that
back
better?
to talk.
Is this better?
Sounds better. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I think it was leaning on the wall, the tripod, like a tiny bit. So it's probably why.
Yeah, probably. And back to you were saying though, about like, because I do that too with my clients. You know, there's an onboarding process, and I tell everybody part of check-ins is I want you to send 1 to 2 form evaluation videos every single week
Yeah,
to
yeah.
make sure that even if you think you know what you're doing, you think you have everything nailed down, 9 out of 10 times something can always be improved. But
Definitely.
a lot of people, for one, they don't keep up with that. I have way
No.
less people that will actually send the form videos than people that do. The people that don't do it, obviously they don't get that benefit of being able to improve their training, because that's another thing with the ego. It's like, I know how to do this. I don't need help
Yeah.
with my bench. I don't need help with my press. Like, it's fine. And then you watch that person press and you could point out 3 things they could be doing better. And they hold off on ever, recording and sending that information to their coach because they just don't see how it could be improved. But again, you're not the coach. So that's like why you
Yeah.
hired us, is to help you in the gym. But then, yeah, like you said, you'll tell somebody to do something better, and they automatically become weaker at it. And then they think they hit a plateau all of a sudden. Oh my God, I dropped 20 pounds on this, and my weight, I haven't been able to progressively overload in the past 3 to 4 weeks. But the reality is that doesn't matter, because right now we're just focusing on you actually getting the execution down, because that is going to help you. That is a form of progression, you becoming better at this movement for the target muscle, not just throwing in more weight on the top of the execution that you're already doing, which is not really ideal. So yeah, I
It's
guess.
like, yeah, it's like even now, like with that back transformation that you just pulled up, like people would probably assume from looking at that, they're like, they probably go, oh, he knows what he's doing. But like even me now, like if I go train back with like another pro, or if I train with my coach, like I'm still getting form feedback off them. And there's probably still things that even, I train solo most of the time. And I'll obviously try and like mentally think about everything I'm doing. But there's probably things that was every time I train with a pro or my coach that I can just take away and apply them and get an even better back. It isn't like just because something's a strong point or like develops that I don't need anyone to assess it. Like I'm 20, 25-year-old pro, I haven't completed bodybuilding. I don't know absolutely everything in terms of execution of building every body part. I know a lot more than the average person, and I can coach 99% of the population to improve their training. But even like with my own training, there's still, parts to refine at the very least and parts to improve, definitely. And I think that like people can't really accept that doesn't ever really go away. There's almost always someone else that you can learn from, especially in bodybuilding, man. Like especially in bodybuilding, because there's like, with bodybuilding, it's like there's so many different approaches to it. There isn't just one. It's not a one size fits all thing. So that's why you can take so many different things from different people.
Yeah, it's definitely an ego thing. And what we see in the industry a lot is it's people trying to really promote themselves and make money. This is why I always say it's a huge red flag if people go around and talk in absolutes. Somebody saying this is the way to do things, and obviously there's exceptions for that, obviously, right? There's certain things where we could say an absolute, like we could say chicken is a good source of protein or something like that, but there's a lot of things that require so much context and you can't give direct answers on. And this is the problem that we always run into, is people will ask questions that require so much context and you can't give them a real answer to it. And people don't like that,
like
because
the one I always get, and you're probably the same, and I had it right now, is like, oh, like what are my calories going to go down to if I'm in a deficit? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I can tell you they're going to go down. I can't tell you what they're going to go down to. Like, you're asking me to predict your whole life, everything you're going to do, and how your body's going to react in 16 weeks. Like, I can't do that for you.
They'll throw numbers at you. Hey, I'm 6'1", 250 pounds, been eating this much. What should I do? It's like, those are just fucking, you just threw a bunch of numbers at me. That really doesn't mean shit. Like, I need so much more information. I need to see you. You can't give an answer. But aside from like those super personal questions, which people like will give answers to, a lot of these guys, what they'll do is, instead of, for one, they're either just not intelligent enough to understand that there's context needed to give a lot of answers, but they might know that, but they still give like these black and white direct answers to make things seem like it's black and white, because that is what people want to look for, right? They want to look for the simple answer. And then when someone else says to you like the same question, and you're like, well, it depends, it requires more, they don't know. That's not what they want to hear.
Yeah.
So I
I mean,
forget.
like you spent a long time in the industry, and I know that you've, done your fair, like more than your fair share of research and learning. I'm the same, man. Like when we were getting into bodybuilding and fitness and stuff, like if you want to like watch a real video and learn, you're watching like a 45-minute video on YouTube, or you're reading a fucking book, or you're reading articles online from all different sources. Like you weren't watching a 45-second video on back
Mm-mm.
training, and that was just covering like that. There'll be people that'll be like, oh, this is how to grow your back, and this is the only video. They'll call it like the only video you ever need to grow your back, and the video is 45 seconds long. You know, like we didn't like learn that way, so I can kind of understand like why people are so like adamant about things being specific and like you said, there being a straight answer to absolutely everything. But
They don't want to
the more
learn.
you learn, you realize it. Yeah, like it is. Learning isn't a simple, quick thing, man. It takes
No,
time.
no. And I forget, why do we even bring that up? Because people were saying that something about their egos. I think what I was getting at is that these people,
Like
like,
why they don't improve, like why did you're asking about why they don't improve,
yeah,
like yeah.
these people with them not sending videos and stuff and all that, and people, getting short answers for information. Everything is just, they don't understand how in depth these things go, and how there's
No,
always more to learn, right? You understand that, I understand that there's always more to learn. There's a lot of context to a lot of situations. I've continuously learned every year that I do this more and more and more. But then there's people out there, you see so many people now, 2, 3, 4 years into this, and they think that they know everything. And
yeah,
it
it's
just holds
crazy.
them back in every aspect. You see these people all over TikTok, they're everywhere. You don't know how to train, you don't understand this or that, and they give you this, such a one, like, simple mind, like one. They only look at
What
things like
time?
black and white,
Yeah,
yeah, one dimensional. They only have one perspective to look at things, and it's just not that black and white. And this is what holds people back, is them not understanding the bigger picture, how to look at things, from multiple lenses, get all these different, outlooks. And they just go by what some guy might have recited by a study, and that's the end all be all.
they're always at like a certain level as well. Like there's never anyone that you look
Yeah.
at that's like insanely knowledgeable or like crazy successful coaching business or elite physique or elite, strength. Like it's never anyone that's like that, like very high level in their field. It's always people that are like kind of average. Like every time you see a video of a guy talking about like, oh, you should never use a barbell to bench press, or you should never,
Yeah.
do this exercise. You should never use a preacher curl. And like he doesn't look like a bodybuilder. This
Yeah.
is like everyone that's at a high level understands what it takes, and the people that are like a mid level, they're there for a reason, and they're probably going to stay there.
Yeah. But the problem is that the guys at the high level, I'm not going to say all bodybuilders, because there are a lot of dumb bodybuilders who don't
Yeah,
know. There are a lot, but the guys at, the high levels of coaching and the intelligent bodybuilders, they understand the nuance, and how there's so many different ways to look at things. There's more than one way to skin a cat. Low volume is not inherently better than higher volume just because of the fatigue reduction. Is the fatigue actually going to hurt you to any aspect? There's a lot that goes into that, but it's always the guys, like you said, that, they don't have the physique. They are trying to become coaches. And the thing is that the average person relates to that person more. And they see like somebody like you or me, or, a top coach to coach bodybuilders is like, it's just drugs. It's just steroids. And they want to disregard that and throw off the fact that they actually do know significantly more, and go with the guy that looks like the average guy and says, hey, don't barbell squat. You should only do hack squats. It's inferior for your quads. And it's like, why would you ever say some dumb shit
Yeah,
like that? And they just eat it up. Oh, he's more stability. It's automatically better. Never barbell squat. Why would I do that?
yeah. It's honestly, it's just like marketing technique, and it works every time, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
If you just tell someone something straight, and it's aggressive, or it's a blanket statement, they're more likely to be intrigued into it than say, there's 15 different ways and there's 1,000 different factors onto why or how you could achieve this thing that you want to achieve. And it also depends on the person.
Yeah. When
you
you
know,
make when
it,
you make things sound complicated, which is the reality, that there's
mm,
nuance, and you say it depends, it's too much for the average. They don't want to know if it depends. They don't want to understand and learn how it actually works. They just want you to give them an answer and say, hey,
mm.
eat lower your carbs by 50 and lower your calories by 200. Like, that's all they want
Yeah,
to hear is,
it's that level of patience. Like even we understand that like there's no way for us to get to what we'll know in 10 years from now any quicker than just getting there in 10 years.
It's the
Like, but
experience.
because we're already like, you know, I mean, I know you're like 10 years into lifting as well, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we've already got here, so we understand that now, but we couldn't have told us that 10 years ago either. We
Yeah.
would have just had to get there. And the average person, again, they just want immediate results. And I think, like, especially with the way that things are today, you know, with like instant gratification and things like that, it's only going to get worse. Like, you're going to look at someone who, you know, posts a TikTok of that's like a 3-second edit of their transformation, and maybe the first video from 2017, but they're like, oh, you know, they could bullshit, they could lie, and then you just want that immediately. Like, you don't actually want all the work and everything you didn't see. You just want the cool TikTok and all the likes. Like, that's what you want. You don't actually want the lifestyle that person lives
Mm-mm.
to achieve that kind of look.
No, I think a lot of people don't even understand what true bodybuilding really entails. I think
No.
people just I've talked about this before. I think I talked about this on the last podcast too. Recently is a lot of people nowadays they get into it just with the idea of I want to be an influencer. I want to, I
Yeah.
want to make money through this route through social media. It looks easy. Fitness is so trending, and average person fitness lifestyle, yeah, like it's not that difficult. And if you go viral and blow up, that's honestly just luck of the draw that rarely happens
It's not going to
unless
last either.
yeah, it's not going to last unless you're providing some actual value and are
Yeah.
intelligent, which is going to take years of experience for you to do that to begin with. So again, you got to play the long game. But when people see, like, if somebody watched your day to day life, they'd be like, this. They
Yeah.
probably most people be like, this fucking sucks. This is
Yeah, I
terrible.
always say that. When people are like, oh, like do a day in the life video, I'm like, why? It's so monotonous. And even if
Mm-hmm.
I just did one day, like right now, especially right now, because I'm, you know, I was gonna say like, yeah, I know I look good, but I don't look crazy. So it's not like, you know what I'm talking about. Like, I don't look like 6-8 weeks out right now either. And like food isn't crazy low. I'm not like, you know, doing a shit ton of cardio. Like, it's not a grind yet. Like, yeah, it's a grind in terms of my daily lifestyle, but I've been doing it for so long.
It's just your
That's just my
life.
life. Yeah, it's just my life. So like, it wouldn't be anything. There wouldn't be any kind of secret there, or there wouldn't be anything that people like. Oh my, you know, there's not any crazy unique exercises. Yeah, maybe there's a couple of cool machines in my workout because I have those in the gym. You know, but
Mm-hmm.
if I was going to a different gym, there wouldn't be anything special there either.
Yeah, no, that's something that I always felt the same way because as somebody who is a bodybuilder, you just know how boring it is. And dude, you're trying to make content. I try to base the majority of my content around something that's valuable or informative and educational. But you see all these influencers do like day in the lives, and I just like I don't watch anybody on YouTube. I haven't for years.
Yeah,
It's
no.
so I don't even know what the fuck they're not providing anything. I don't want to like hate on anybody, but I just don't see the value in it. And I have seen like those day in the life videos before, and it's just influencers who like just do like random shit and they're filling their days with
Yeah,
bullshit. And the life of a
I think
bodybuilder,
partly
it's not
like,
like that.
you know, like we've grown out of it because any almost this doesn't sound really arrogant, but almost any of like you go ask like a 17-year-old or 18-year-old who their favorite influencer is, like maybe they call themselves a bodybuilder, but from a bodybuilding point of view, you're just so vastly superior. Why would you consume the content? You know,
Yeah.
like you're not gonna get if there's someone that's like famous because they have like big arms and the rest of the physique sucks. Like, what do you get out of watching a video, especially if they don't really have like an entertaining personality or lifestyle? You know, like they're just basically going to get topless with a bunch of 180-pound other influencers that you don't know, and just bullshit around, you know, the Alpha Elite gym. Like, what do you get out of watching that? And you've just wasted your time. You know?
Yeah, it's just a waste of
For some
time.
other kid that doesn't look like that yet, yeah, maybe that's cool, and like they're like, oh, I want to look like that one day, but I haven't got the time to watch that shit. You
I mean,
know?
yeah, whatever helps you. If it motivates you to do something better, I guess sure watch
Yeah.
it. But I value my time a lot.
Mm.
I run a business, and usually I would be bodybuilding if I wasn't about to get surgery. So I'd be living
Yeah.
that fully consuming that lifestyle. But honestly, this just gave me an opportunity to work more, so I get to help in that, get to do more in that aspect. But I don't sit around watching like these pointless videos. Like, if I'm going to watch something, it's going to be somebody like an educational video, some type of podcast
Yeah.
where I could gain something that I'm trying to research and learn more of. I can't sit there and watch somebody's full workout that, like you said, I don't want to sound arrogant, but it's just like you are superior than that person in terms of
Yeah.
body. Like there's nothing that you're going to gain from that. There's just, and then maybe you might, because a lot of this content I think is
Yeah.
also targeted towards the younger demographic, at least the
It
influencers.
is. It is. Yeah. That's so like the older you get, I used to kind of I try not to be that way, but like when you look at a lot of older bodybuilders that would be like bitter towards some of the kids that are blowing up, he's like, yeah, because that their content is never going to be focused on you because you're them in 10 years. Like, that you don't have anything to learn off them. Maybe, they're quite immature because they're like fucking 19 and they're getting all this following
Fucking
and
freaking out in the gym.
sponsors. Yeah. So they don't know how to act. Like, it's not going to appeal to like a grown man. So I can understand it. But yeah, I mean, even when I like did used to consume a lot of YouTube content, it was much more educational than like, some of the influence. I don't really think, I think because it's all been done now, I don't really see the point of someone starting it because it'd be very hard to, like take over from like someone like, I don't know, like Jeff Nippard, he's still making videos. So a kid can't even make what Jeff makes anyway because they haven't got his years of experience.
Oh, this is the thing is people, I'm not gonna say it's don't make content because we are in like we are in a day and age where people have this fucking opportunity and it's kind of dumb if you don't try to take advantage of it.
Just because we're saying we're not going to watch content doesn't mean millions of other people won't, but we won't be. That's all we're saying.
But what it's saying is like a lot of these kids will try to make content and they don't have anything to provide. Yeah. So I guess you could document your journey, that's fine. But if you don't have the experience, you don't have the knowledge. And again, this is years of experience. It's not you just watch a couple of TikToks, you don't go around trying to make informative videos on the subject and you're just regurgitating some shit you heard. You don't even understand what you're talking about. I was doing the other day. This is actually fucking hilarious. I keep seeing all these fucking lives, right? For all these TikTok lives that people are promoting on, like, they'll just have like a bottle of creatine or something in front, and then they're talking about it, trying to sell it because these people make stupid commission off these products. Some of them, like I've seen it be ridiculous. And this kid's sitting there and he just has a bottle of creatine here, and there's like 500 people in this live. So I just go into this live and he's talking about creatine, and he's saying, yeah, the creatine it makes your muscles bigger. It does this, it does that. So I just go explain what creatine does. And he explains it. He says, yeah, it makes your muscles bigger. It fills you with water. I was like, that's not what creatine does. I said, explain what creatine does. Explain adenine triphosphate. Just ignored it. Explain ATP. Ignore it. I fucking had like a whole cult of people in this live begging this kid to explain how creatine works. And he was freaking out. He couldn't explain it. He was like, it put the water in your muscles, and he just blocked everybody.
It's crazy, man. That like, to do something like that. I actually had a similar experience where last year with someone that I don't know if you'll know him, so I'm not gonna say his name on here, but I've known him for a while. I think he's either my age or older than me, and he makes fitness content as well. I got a fairly decent following, and he asked me what creatine did last year, and I thought he was joking, right? Because again, I've known him since I was about 20 years old, something like so. It's like 5 years, and back then he had a following. He's been like coaching and all this stuff, and like he was like, oh yeah, I want to make a TikTok about like creatine because it seems to be like trending right now. Like, what does it do? And like I was absolutely shook. I think I ended up telling him just Google it because I was like, I'm not spending my time on this.
Yeah,
but that's crazy. Like the people that sell the products don't even know what they do anymore. And like that, it goes show like what you're on about, where they're just in there try and make the money, not because they actually like fitness or they have anything to provide.
No, I've turned down so many sponsors because I just literally didn't like the products and they had nothing to offer me. But the fact that there's people out there selling this shit when there's nothing wrong with creatine, because there were also people in that live. I had a bunch of people going like, oh, what's wrong with creatine? Creatine's bad for you. Is this guy a scammer? And it's like, no, creatine isn't bad for you. But at the end of the day, you shouldn't be fucking selling something if you don't even know how it works. You can't, they teach you what creatine does in like 8th grade. They teach you about ATP and all that shit. The fact, if you don't know what creatine is, that's insane to me. But that same person would sell any product that's trending and not know it. It could be something that's terrible for you. And you would and these people are just asking this guy questions over and over again. The average person doesn't know shit.
He doesn't fucking know.
Yeah. The average person doesn't know shit though either. So they're just like, oh, like, am I going to get cancer from it? He's like, no. They're like, okay, I'll buy it. This guy's just making money left or right, which is fine because it's creatine, but it's just like the people selling it should know what the fuck they're selling.
It's like I saw a TikTok the other day about someone, I can't remember if it's a guy or a girl, saying they've like discovered cortisol, and like how it can affect your weight. And there's all these like obese people in the comments like, oh my gosh, this is why I'm not losing weight, because it's like a new thing now. I keep seeing TikToks where they talk about like cortisol or they talk about, insulin resistance, and like these are people that are like, you're severely obese, you know, and because
You said
people are making TikToks
cortisol?
like, yeah, so like I saw a girl that was probably like 380, like, you know, at like maybe like 5'3" or something, talking about like she can't lose weight because of cortisol. Like, honestly, if it was that high, you'd probably be dead from a heart attack if it was so high that your body's not doing anything.
That's insane.
Yeah, man. Like, I don't really consume TikTok anymore. You know, I just post my updates on it, especially while I'm prepping, because like I've had every single comment. You know, I had someone the other day say my delts were too small. People said my legs were too small. I had some kids. So I filmed a video of me like the end of my session. It was like chest pressing like 2 plates because I think I was doing like a drop set or something. And some kid was like, "Oh, you know, like, you know," he said like my training was shit. You're not even strong. And I was like, yeah, I didn't even know what to say. You know, I was like, in this same clip, I was benching like I think like 315 on the incline in the same clip because he saw me chest press 2 plates. He's like, "Oh, you're not even strong. Like you know, you don't know what you're doing. You should be pressing more."
I've never been criticized or like told my training sucks from
Yeah.
anybody that is even remotely my size.
No, no,
It's
exactly.
always it's always some fucking kid that's been watching TikToks and he's got science-based lifter in his bio. Looks like shit. That's just
Yeah.
the
It was like a
reality.
2 second clip as well. Like it was literally like 2 reps of me doing like 2 plates on the chest press. But because, you know, progressive overload, they're like, "Oh, you should be lifting more." Like you don't know what the rest of the session looked like. It wasn't like a, you know, full workout or anything like that. It was literally just a straight up clip with music over it of me training.
You know, social media is cancer. It's terrible. I obviously, you know, it's a double-edged sword because obviously I've been able to build a business off of it. I've been able
Yeah.
to help and reach a lot of people. It's, you know, helped me a lot in my life. But at the same time, like he said, be a producer, not a consumer. Because it
I bet
will
you felt
literally,
when you
huh?
took that break, right? When you took that break, I bet that was amazing.
Oh my God, dude. Yo, people fucking I take a break from social media, people lose
It
their
was
minds. I
it
come
wasn't even
back,
that long.
dude, it was like 2 weeks. There's so many stories being made up about me. I did
Bro,
this, I did that.
I saw those
Bro,
TikToks. The second you were gone, I saw like three
what
or
the
four TikToks.
they were
Like,
just
"Oh, he ran away." I was
they were,
like, "Oh God."
they were just waiting. They were waiting for their opportunity to
Yeah, they were.
strike.
They were.
Dude. And oh, he got humble. He's fucking, you know, we kicked him off social media. Like, no, like I literally just did not want to hear shit from any of those
Yeah,
motherfuckers. And it was honestly the best I felt in years. Like it was just
yeah.
not seeing that
I,
shit,
I
not
knew
even
I
looking at
knew
my
it was
phone.
coming. I knew it was coming as soon as I seen the first TikTok. I was like, "Here we go!" Like all these stories. Like there was a story of you like, what was it, like fighting someone backstage or like having it like
Dude,
what
somebody
did they say?
they made up some rumor that I had like a mental breakdown that backstage and started freaking out or something. And I
Yeah,
started
yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, I don't even know where that came from. And there was people at the show who know who I
Yeah.
am, like the fucking other TikTokers that were regurgitating this story, knowing damn well it didn't happen. They still played along with it because, you know, I guess I've upset some people in the past. And
Yeah,
this
because
is the
I spoke to quite a few guys that competed at that show. I knew quite a few. I think I even knew a couple that were in your class as well. And they
yeah.
were like everyone was just good. Like everyone was cool.
Yeah. No, literally nothing happened at that show, but I took the break and everybody started, you know, spouting all these rumors, saying all this shit. You know what's crazy? One guy, you probably know who it is, saw me at the gym after the show, saw me at the gym, looked at me, didn't say a fucking word to me, turned around, like no communication, nothing. I don't, I'm not friends with this person. So I don't give a fuck. Like there's nothing.
Yeah,
This guy leaves the gym, then makes a video about me after he leaves the gym. As if he had all this shit to say about me, couldn't say a
yeah,
single word to me, leaves and makes a TikTok about me so that
that's
I can't,
crazy,
it's
man.
fucking crazy. It's insane. And then
Yeah,
saying, oh, he got humbled. Bro, like, I didn't respond to any of this shit, but
yeah,
it's
right. Especially like all the things you
crazy.
went through going into that show. I don't think
Yeah.
people realize the fact you even made it to the end. You know,
Yeah.
like I think most people, I know most people would have definitely pulled the plug from like I think it was like 6 weeks out, right?
Yeah. I mean, really, that's probably what I should have done. But yeah, we pushed through. You know, what
Mm.
happened happened, but it's crazy that I'm gonna get back surgery. It's just you know, I just keep having these highs and lows, but it's gonna make the story. It's gonna make the story even
Yeah,
better. Come back
you'll
from
make it
fucking
even
back
better.
surgery.
Exactly, man. Exactly. Yeah. I found that shit so funny though, and I know that like the only reason that that was even a story is just because of the content you make. Like, and it's not even, it's not like you make bad content or you make all you do is try and help people.
Mm-hmm.
Like honestly, you're better than me because I see that shit and I just ignore it. You've made videos of people who make blanket statements. Like I remember the guy that made the chest flies video. What did he
Mm-hmm.
say? Did he just say like dumbbell flies are shit or something?
Yeah, dumbbell flies are shit. Stop doing them.
And he wasn't even doing them correct in the video. But like
Yeah.
I don't think that like people appreciate you taking your time out to basically correct that video
Yeah.
for basically like for free.
Yeah.
Like,
I've done
just to help other people who
yeah.
don't pay you anything, who just scroll past your video, or maybe they'll watch that one video and maybe it'll help them in the gym.
Yeah.
Like you don't really gain anything from that. You're
Yeah.
just taking your like years of knowledge and applying it to fix some misinformation on the internet. I don't even do that anymore. Like I just straight up give up. Like I stopped making those kind of videos. I remember I made one about like, I think I called it like how I built my arms. And I never in the video said anyone needs to do this or this is the only way. And I remember people were tagging Paul in the video, and even he commented on it, and he was like, I think he was like, I didn't make any blanket statements. He was like, there's some things I agree with, there's some things I don't agree with, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
But like the fact that because again they were tagging all these different people, I was like, man, like I just
can't
said,
stand
like,
that shit.
I was like, this is something I did. If someone's struggling to build their arms as much as I was for like years, he is someone who competes at a high level that struggled with that same muscle group. Maybe you can take something away.
Yeah,
but
of course.
The fact that they're like, oh, you said this one thing, I can't even remember what the video was. I can't remember any of what I said. But from then, I was like, I'm not doing this shit anymore. I'm not arguing with people in the comments.
It is very frustrating. I stopped doing it towards the tail end of prep too when I was still on, because you just don't want to deal with the repercussions of trying to help people. And I do, like, I've done a lot of that as I try to. It's really just me trying to spread information, spread education, and help people because I have the platform to do so. I try to not do the shit where you stitch videos of people so much because I never wanted to build a platform off of like relying on other people's content.
Yeah.
But it's like there's some shit that like I just see it, it's like, all right, like I have to address this. If it's like gaining traction, I'm like, there's like people should not be listening to this. But I mean, people will take it as me like being an asshole or trying to. It's not me being an asshole. It's people. I give back the energy that people give to me. So I'll like say something and people will try to argue against me and say you're wrong. It's like, okay, like who the fuck are you to even tell me that I'm wrong? Because what I'm presenting to you is really just common basic logic if you put two and together and actually think about it. Or it's me talking about like myself, right? And me saying, I'm going to win. I'm going to do this. And it's really just,
we all say that.
That's my mentality.
I'm sorry, but I am not training to get second or third place. I'm not.
No.
I even the same, I said, 2022, like I was going for my pro card, and I was, but like the regional before I got second, you remember, like I messaged you and I was like, I fucked up, like I just didn't pose on the stage and I fucked it all up. But like I'd still said all the way through, no one made any videos on me about that. I don't think I even actually had one negative comment that time either, which is funny, like all the people who were giving me shit, like when I actually lost the show, I didn't have anything to say in terms of that. But it's like now, I have people that like the amount of comments recently where like people are saying, oh, he's not going to get to the Olympia, or like he won't win a show. And like you post that transformation up and I'm like, probably try and find like another pro that's had the same level of transformation in 1 year. That I especially like
few and far between.
Yeah. Especially someone that's my age and also a newer pro. Like I don't think that you will. I'm not even saying that in an arrogant way, but the fact that I can have that kind of progress and people still have shit to say.
People will always have shit to say. They're always gonna have shit to say. It's just a reflection of themselves most of the time. And like I said, I'll say like I would make videos, and I've always been, ever since I was young, like somebody who talks shit into existence. So I'll sit here and say, I'm gonna turn pro, I'm gonna make to Olympia, because like that's what I have like the expectation of myself, and that's what I need to speak into fruition. Like it's what I work towards every day, and I need to put that energy out there. And that's just the way that I live my life. And I know that seeing shit like that for some people, they pick up on that and it can inspire them too, right? They hear that and they see like this guy, has his heart set on something and he's gonna put everything into it. It doesn't matter if I win or lose, like I'm still gonna do it. And I lost a show and people are like, oh, he got humbled, all this shit. It's like, no, there's not a single thing that changed. You're still humbled.
Those are the people that can't really see themselves doing shit. You know, so the second that you have like a downfall or a setback, they'll jump on that and they'll try and make that the biggest possible thing, because obviously if
Yeah.
it overshadows you even working towards that goal, maybe it'll, you know, demotivate you from pushing to try and do it again. You know, like if we can make it such a big thing that he didn't get the result he wants, maybe he's not never going to get it, because he'll just think about how big of a story it is that you didn't do it, you know. I
Yeah.
don't think they realize that like someone with your kind of mindset, if you're just going to make more videos and talk more shit about it, then it's probably going to give you more fuel to even to go and get it done when the time's right anyway.
Yeah. I don't know. These people live very, I think a lot of people live very, very sad lives, you know, fucking, I, everything just, the way that I see everything is just a challenge and it's just a way to make me stronger. Like I said, you know, lost a show, gonna get surgery. Am I humbled? Am I done with bodybuilding? Oh my God, no. It's like I'm gonna come back stronger and it's gonna make a better fucking story and it's gonna be crazy when it happens. It's all just in due time. My mentality about that is not gonna change. Nobody's gonna deter me from that. And that's what I try to push to other people too, is like if you have this goal, shit's gonna happen, shit's not gonna go your way. And shit, when shit doesn't go your way, people are gonna say, I told you so. And they're gonna be right, maybe this time or that time, but you just keep stick to it. And like it's going to happen for you, but like you need to consistently put that out there and, you know, have that vision. And I'm just vocal about it and people don't like it because people don't have that belief in themselves. They don't like the confidence and they also don't like the fact that it is just confidence when I'm correcting people because I know what I'm talking about, or if I'm just confident in my own beliefs because people don't have that same level of confidence. So they see it as, you know, arrogance or me being cocky or an
All
asshole
the
to
time.
people.
All like elite athletes are vocal somewhat. Maybe they're not on social media, but you know, if you go talk to them in person, they'll tell you what they're trying to do and they'll tell you that they're going to do it. They
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't be doing it if they didn't think they could. Like the level that we're at, where like, bro, I was sore almost every day last year. You know, I'd wake up. I remember like, especially my back, like my lats were sore all the time. I'd like get up every morning, go through my morning routine, especially like being that heavy as well. I've never been that heavy. I was like 255 pounds, dragging myself around every fucking day. Like I was not doing that just to not achieve my goal, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's a different kind of mindset, like to push yourself to a point you've not been before.
Mm-hmm.
It really doesn't fucking matter what other people think or say. Like you're gonna do it regardless. Like your voice in your head is the number one to you.
Exactly. Yeah. When you tell yourself, the story you tell yourself is the one that matters. Everything else is just outside noise. But it gets more difficult with social media presence and constantly
Yeah,
people
yeah.
just fucking bickering at you, especially when it's people
Especially
that are
like when you
like,
start and you're not sleeping enough, like you know you're more irritable. I think it's better to separate yourself from those kind of situations anyway.
yeah, it's like what I said, why stop posting like
Mm,
informative educational stuff towards prep when we were just doing the series. Cause it's like I knew if I would have went on TikTok and started doing like, you know, educating people, making this, it's like there's always
mm.
comments where people want to argue. It's like I don't have the fucking energy for this right now. You're either gonna listen or you can fuck off and that's it. But I'm just not gonna make the fucking videos for the next few months.
Yeah.
Let's just stay away from that entirely.
Yeah, no, I forgot about that. That was crazy. I hadn't seen it happen to anyone that I knew, you know, like public, like obviously known you for a while now. So like seeing it, especially like you said, like some of the people that we both know, I thought it was fucking snaky. Like
Mm-hmm.
because I guarantee they probably, if you'd stayed online, they wouldn't have had anything to say, you know?
No, those same people, I see them like my post and shit all the time too. Save my post. They're learning. They're learning from me. How fucking funny is that?
Yeah.
It's crazy, but yeah. So how many weeks out are you now?
Right now, I think I'm going to say 14, 13 or 14. So there's another show I might be doing, which if I am, it'll put me at 11, which is a Germany show, 11, 12 weeks out. My coach is going to decide that one like pretty close to it, like 4 or 5 weeks out. So I'm traveling loads, man. Like I've got obviously Toronto's the main one, which is I'm 13, 14 weeks out right now. And then I've got a week in between, then I'm in Portugal, and then I'm in Netherlands the week after that. So yeah, I'm going to be all over the place, man.
Wait, the show's in Portugal?
So no, so I'm doing Toronto, then I've got a week, and then after that I'm in Portugal, and then the week after that I'm in Netherlands. So I've got like 4 shows within like a month, within 2 to 3 months. Like I'll just be traveling all over the place and competing.
Wow, expensive now.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Toronto is the most expensive one. Like obviously Portugal and Netherlands aren't too expensive because they're in Europe as well, and they're not too far away. But yeah, man, looking at these Toronto accommodations, I was like, shit.
Mm.
It's a good thing I've been like grinding my coaching, you know.
Yeah, isn't that where your coach is?
No, no, he's here. He's like he's in this country as well, but he'll be going to the shows.
Oh shit, I thought he was in Canada.
No,
He's
he's been to that show before.
he what part of he's on like a team, right?
Yeah, so he owns a pro coach business. Like that's his company. Like he built it, I'm pretty sure. So it's like he's got a team of coaches with him as well, and they'll all take on different. He has the most pros, and then there's a couple of other guys. So like there'll be a couple that focus on like transformations. There'll be a couple that just like coach amateur bodybuilders,
Yeah.
and then there's a couple that coach like they in general everyone coaches like high level athletes. Like even I think even if you want to do the transformation coaching, it's like yourself where and even with me now where like you've got to pass like the when you look at the inquiry, you're deciding whether you're even going to get back to them or not because you don't have the time to bullshit around with people like Carl. Like my coach is in high demand now. He's not cheap. Coaches a lot of pros, and he's more than worth it for me. But yeah, that's his business. I know it's the same with you. Like where I always see people ask on you question boxes, they'll be like, "Oh, I didn't hear back from you about coaching." You're like, "Yeah, because you're not getting coached."
Yeah. Dude, it's great. What amazes me that people will apply for coaching and literally put in the application that they can't afford coaching.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like at that point, why did you even submit the application? Like just turn around, exit it out.
Yeah.
You literally just said you can't afford it. I have no money. I'm broke. Here's my application. What do you want me to do with this? It's crazy.
Yeah, it's fun everyone for them. Like, can you afford the coach? And they're like, no. I'm like, okay, cool. It stops there.
Why is this application here? They're just hoping
Yeah.
for the best. They're hoping for
Hoping that like they've caught you at a good time,
Yeah, you
They've
got
caught you at
selected for a free
time
spot.
feeling generous, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But
so yeah, my coach owns the pro coach company, but yeah, it is a UK based company. He just has a lot of international clients, and I think most of them are European or British as well. I don't know if he has any Americans, but he does go over to the States. In general, any pro that competes, he'll be at the show.
we should have had him join this.
Yeah, I know. I think he loves to jump on. To be fair, I'll tell him next time because he has his own as well. But I think he'll be more than down to jump on. He's very very smart guy as well, and again a lot of years in the business. He's back in training as well, man. He's stronger than me. He's really fucking strong.
Is he?
Like I trained with him, and he did like 260 for like 7 like RDLs.
260.
Sorry,
Is that
260.
kilograms?
Yeah. So what is that like 5?
That's 5 something.
Yeah.
I
think it's like 565.
Yeah, that's something. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty crazy.
Anything anymore. So yeah, okay. It's pretty good, at my level, having a coach that's stronger than you. You're not going to find many.
Yeah, no, you're not.
That are lifting you at a pro level.
Is he old?
Nah, yeah, I think he's maybe 30, 31, somewhere around there.
Okay. You said you train with him, right, in person?
Yeah. I train with him. I'm going to try and train with him a little bit more in my prep because, I mean, like I said, he's a busy guy. Like that day, there was 4 of us, and all 3 of us that were training with him were all his pros. So like it was a fucking a very intense session, and I learned a lot from those guys as well. Like even the girl China, she's like a figure pro. She was deadlifting like 425 or something, like stiff legged deadlift as well. Like straight off the floor.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. So as far as do you want to do the same thing with your coaching business eventually? Like, how do you want to run that? Do you want to have a team? Do you want to just keep it to yourself? Do you plan on coaching long term?
So it's like something I'm thinking about right now because initially when I got it, like my old coach, he had a coaching business as well before he stopped coaching. Basically when I got my pro card and went into a different business. Now he's managing Ultraflex, going international, which is like it's a big chain bodybuilding gym here. Like I don't know what the equivalent would be, but it's like a hardcore bodybuilding gym that has franchised. So there's a few of them here. And he's taken them to Greece, and I assume he's probably going to take them all over Europe. But he was like the one to push me away from personal training and things like that, because, you know, he was like, if you do really want to go for this pro card and you want a pro lifestyle, you're not going to be able to be like a full-time PT alongside it. And I already knew that, but like when I got to the Arnold, I think I was like 3 weeks out of the Arnold. So I've been prepping for like 23 weeks by then. And I just texted all my clients like, yeah, I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm not PTing, you know. I was like, I'll give you a refund or you can come onto my online coaching. And I just went full-time coaching from there. But yeah, I have thought about it, and I kind of right now, I almost do have like a coaching team, simply because it's worked out that way. Like I have a lot of people. I think I've got 13 people competing this year. Last year I
Okay.
had like three, but they did 7 shows. Or I
Wow.
had four, sorry. They did like 7 shows. So like this year I've got people competing like the day before I compete, you know, and things like
Oh
that.
yeah.
So it's something that I'm thinking about, yeah. But for me, it's like this last year was like my first full-time coaching year. So I'm going to give it, you know, a couple of years and see like kind of what direction I fancy going in, because initially I didn't think it was going to be, I thought I'd have like a couple of people that compete, you know what I mean? And it'd be more like lifestyle type thing. And now it's going in a direction where I have like 4 or 5 people doing their first ever show. I've got all these guys coming back that have done shows that I'm competing, and I have people that I've done multiple shows with coming back as well. So it's almost just going in a competitive coaching direction right now, at least.
Yeah. But is that the direction that you wanted to go in?
That's the thing. I'm going to give it a try. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to it. I think the main challenge will just be, you know, these people are like amateurs and first timers, and I'm going to be competing, you know, at the highest level possible, basically alongside it. So it's like, how do you manage that while also treating all your clients fairly? Because at the end of the day, you know, someone competing at an amateur, they're just not like, it's not more important than my competitive bodybuilding career, you know,
Up
it's
the
not.
rate.
Yeah,
Up the rate.
exactly.
And that
That's the
right.
thing. So we'll see how it goes.
Or just have
But
like a different rate for lifestyle. And if you want to do a
yeah,
prep, it's just more expensive. So you draw in more lifestyle compared
yeah.
to
I mean,
nurse.
the benefit is I don't have to go to all the shows, because a lot of them are in the States and different
Hmm.
countries. So there's only a couple that I'll be at over here. Some of them are in different federations as well, so I can't really go. You know, like they're not NPC shows.
Do you plan on staying out there indefinitely?
I mean, I hold on, I'm gonna wait for this bike to go past. It's like this house I'm in now. You know, been in for like 3 or 4 months, so I'm gonna be here for a while at least. Actually, I think a little bit longer, like 6 months, but I haven't traveled anywhere yet. Like, I'm going to Texas in like 2 weeks. You know, with Kev, like the sponsor, like Controlled Insanity guys.
Yeah,
So
I was supposed to partner with him on that.
yes, I should be like, it'll be my first time actually in the States.
Yeah.
So I'll see what life's like over there. And obviously, you know, with bodybuilding, I'll get to travel more anyway, because there's not really any shows here. Like they've got the Arnold UK, but I'll be away at the time. So it would make more sense to probably be international. I just see it. I mean, I know over there, because the country's so big, like, you know, you live in different states and it's like a different experience, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Every state's
So,
different.
yeah. Whereas like, you know, if you live somewhere like here, like if you're outside London, it's not really going to change unless, you know, you're in a city or you're in a countryside. Like there's two different lifestyles really. It's not like, you know, you can live in different states and like the tax rates and things like that are completely different. The
Yeah.
laws and shit are different. You know, the laws are the same here.
Yeah. No, I just don't know if you like wanted to move here as you became, higher up in
Yeah.
bodybuilding, be in the States.
But yeah, it's definitely something I'm thinking about. So we'll have to see, man. Like, I mean, at the minute, I can't help it. Like, I'm just full on Dorian mode where I'm just thinking about these shows, because
Yeah.
obviously I've had the whole year, like all my friends as well, other pros and stuff. Almost everyone I know, you included, has done a show in the length of my off season. Like everyone's done a prep and a show in the entire length that I've just been growing. So like now I'm just desperate to, you know, see like where I stand basically with other pros.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be good.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully, you know, I'm putting everything in to get the Olympia qualification. Like I said, I do have multiple chances. It's not like I have one show and then, you know, if I don't do it there, then that's it. Like I've got a bunch of chances. And
What's your weight
I,
cap?
234. So when I turned pro, I was 219, and at the time, my pro cap would have been 230. And when I did the Arnold, I was 225. So I was a lot fuller when I weighed in for the Arnold.
Yeah, I
Just a
think
six pounds heavier.
you might be close.
I mean, I don't know, man. I can. I feel like I can lose like 20 pounds pretty easily. You
Yeah,
know,
so you have
I've
like
never,
five, 7 pounds maybe.
yeah, I've never had like crazy hard conditioning yet, which I want. So we'll see. We'll see what I look like when what the scale says when I look like that. Because I
What
know
did
like right
you?
now, like my glutes and like lower back and stuff are pretty sharp, but it can get a lot fucking sharper.
Okay, I have two questions. What did you place
Yeah,
the Arnold?
ninth, which is last.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did Wesley play at that place at that show?
So Wesley got third, I think there. So Michael the Bull won, who got fifth at this Arnold, just gone. So Wesley's jump. I mean, I think he got sixth at the Olympia as well, Michael. And Wesley's just flown right past him. I think they're both doing this. They're supposed to both do the Arnold UK as well. Wesley's done it before, so
Okay. Okay. And then
yeah.
what do you think is just there's just a genetic component, like it's mostly genetics, the fact that you have fucking striated glutes in the off season, or is this something that has like recently occurred this
I
past off
haven't had
season?
it before. I haven't
Never
had
had it
it before
before.
in the season. No, it's and like this. Like I said, this is the heaviest that I was this off. I mean, my glutes were striated at like 253. So they weren't like they are now at like 247, 248, but they were
Mm-hmm.
in pretty good shape. And I think, to be honest, it's probably just being able to again like live a full-on bodybuilding lifestyle. I spoke to Samson about it in the summer, and he was saying like when everyone's talking about the level of improvement that he's had over the last 2 years, and he's like, when you see that level of improvement was when he stopped working full time as well and just became like a full-time professional bodybuilder. So I think a lot of people would probably see um, significant changes in their physique if they adjusted their routine. Unfortunately, the world doesn't work that way, and everyone can't be a full time bodybuilder.
Yeah.
But I think that when you have that more time, like I probably even things like down to my quality of sleep is a lot better because I'm nowhere near as stressed out as I used to be, even like from like a financial point of view. Because when I was younger, that used to be like something that would keep me up at night. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of us are probably the same, where like if you're not that I'm happy now, but it isn't something that's like I'm stressing
Worrisome.
about paying bills. Yeah, yeah. So I do think that that's probably a big factor. But yeah, I haven't had glutes or like I haven't had been this kind of condition previously in an off season, and I was
Well,
lighter. Last off season, I hit like 240 at my peak, so that's 15 pounds heavier this time.
that's great. So, do you always, in the past, have you always held the most fat in your glutes, as most people do, right?
Yeah, it was always my lower body, like my legs. So it was typically just like quads and glutes. My hamstrings were not like they were like diced or anything, but it was always my quads. Like it used to look quite funny in my check-ins because like, I'd have like a full set of abs and everything and like chest striations and delts and like my quads would just be like no lines, like it looks like I just did like 100 reps of a leg extension before checking in every time. Whereas like this time, I've had like lines through my quads and everything. It could even just be muscle maturity and just I've been training for longer. So,
Yeah.
maybe holding that weight better.
You're just getting, you have more mass, better
Yeah.
composition, less fat. You think
Mm,
you see that in the majority of guys, like as they get bigger and bigger, they just have that, grainier look throughout the year
yeah.
that kind of looks like they're like, 8 to 12 weeks out, just fucking year round, just because of the amount of mass they hold in comparison to their fat.
Yeah.
It's just
Hold
hard.
on. I'm gonna send you this picture. This is me and Wesley at the Arnold UK. So that's 2 years ago. Yeah, you can't recognize Wesley there versus like this past weekend.
Let me see here. Oh
So
shit.
we're both on the right.
Let me pull this up here. Okay. Wesley is where? All the way on the right.
Yeah, Wesley's all the way on the right, and I'm
That's
next
right
to
next
him.
to
I'm
you.
like, yeah. So you can't recognize him there, but I know the quality's not amazing. For some reason, the NPC pictures, the quality isn't amazing, but like, he does not look anything like that now. And he's, I think he's a couple of years older than me, at least.
Where the fuck did he go? I'm trying to show them on here. Okay, let's just do that. Do that. A little show here. I just go like this.
Yeah.
You can see it.
So I'm on, yeah, I can see that. So I'm on the right, and then he's on the very end.
So you basically what was this past show that he won? The Arnold? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
You got
obviously, I
six.
mean, Michael isn't in the picture. This is the Arnold UK. So that was my first pro show. But I think Wesley got third. The guy on the other side of me, Craig, he got fourth. I want to say that was his pro debut as well. And then on the left of Craig is Zagarella. He's gone to 212 now, the really short guy. And then on the other end is Yemi. Obviously, like he turned pro at the Arnold as well. So he's been pro for like a day there on the very end.
Yeah. Yeah. He lives by
Yeah,
you too, right?
yeah. He's in the same city.
Yeah, he's made good improvements too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. It's exciting. You got a big future coming.
Yeah, man. I just need to get absolutely peeled out of my fucking mind. I mean, you saw like everyone was shredded there at the
Yeah.
Arnold.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
feel
it's
it.
like different.
Do you think the way they're judging is changing?
I mean, I don't know because I've seen people say that, but I do think classic has always like favored taller guys a little bit when they actually manage to fill out the frame and get the level of conditioning because do you know Robert Timms, the guy he won the Texas show and in like last year I think.
Mr.
And he's
Classic
like,
Physique?
yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
Like he's, whenever he's on, he's always won. Like he's always won shows, and he's again like 6'1", I think. So his cap's like 240. I mean, it's like 10 pounds above my Wesley's 6'3". So his cap is like 240, 245, or it might be 246 now, 247. So, they're like an inch, maybe an inch and a half taller than me, and nearly 20 pounds more stage weight,
Yeah.
like
That,
16 pounds more stage weight than me.
yeah, I mean, it can help. It's all
Yeah.
about the proportions, though. If it flows right, this thing is a lot of the taller guys. It's just less common to see the insertions and the flow,
Yeah.
be good for classic. That's just
Yeah. I mean,
reality.
like Breon at the Arnold I think that was probably the best I've ever seen Breon look.
Really?
Like, yeah, I think so, to be honest. Like, I know people going on about his legs, but I really don't think it's as bad as people make it sound. Like, yeah, it's a weak point, but it's not like he's getting up there and he has, like, for example, like maybe Brandon Curry a few years ago where the proportions were so like clearly different between his upper and his lower because his conditioning is the same all across his physique.
Yeah.
I think like that was probably the best I've ever seen him look. And obviously now he's allowed to weigh a little more. He didn't look as sucked down as he used to.
Yeah, because they increased all the weight caps this year, which was that before or after this past Olympia?
It was after the Olympia they announced it. It was like November, I think.
So we haven't seen these guys at the Olympia with
Yeah, we haven't seen anyone with the new weight. So there's people. How much did you get for your class?
how much did mine go up?
Yeah,
I think 5 pounds.
yeah. So I got like 4, and it's like the shorter you get more. So I think some guys got like really short guys would have got like 8 pounds, 10 pounds.
Yeah, it went from 192 to 197.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
which
Like
is
say 4.
which 197 at my height, 5'8", is pretty fucking
Yeah,
that's pretty fucking big on stage to be 197.
yeah. Especially like when you actually filled out that frame and you can get into like a high level of condition with it.
Mm-hmm. Do you think you'll ever move to To open?
open. Samson asked me that as well.
Because you look
Like,
like you had with the growth that you had this past year, if you can
yeah,
keep doing shit like
I
that, you might
I've
be
had a lot of
open.
people ask me. I used to always say no, and I used to always be like opposed to it. But like, yeah, I'd think about it. I mean, if I could, like keep my waist the way it is, um, if I could basically just grow at the rate I have and keep the exact same shape, not lose any lines. Like, you remember Patrick Moore when he was like actually, I don't want to say good, but like that Olympia show he had.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I could have like that kind of physique in open, or like when I saw Andrew Jacks in person, like because he did the Arnold as well. When I saw Andrew Jacks, I was like, yeah, I'd do open if I could look like him.
Yeah, but you have the shape for it. That's the other thing is
Mm,
open is kind of they're mass monsters. So
yeah,
the shape, the aesthetic physique doesn't necessarily win. I mean, I
yeah,
think the last guy that won was like Sean Roden that had that
yeah.
look.
Open is like a life commitment, like you're not getting to open and being good without like 10, 12 years of real bodybuilding, not fucking around, not cutting corners.
Yeah. Also, you need
It's the,
the genetics to fucking be able to grow that much to
yeah,
begin with. A lot
at
of
my
people.
height, like, I mean, right now, I'm, I feel at my height, I'd probably need to be like 260 on stage at least,
Yeah.
which is 30 pounds above what I would have been weighing on the classic stage anyway. So it's a lot of work, a lot of time, even for the rate of growth I've had. It's a lot of work, a lot of time, but I'm more open to it than I used to be.
Okay. That would be that'd be interesting. Maybe bring back the classic physique to open.
I mean, the only like open pros around here that I see and that I spend time with is James, Hollingshead, and Samson. Samson is 340 in the off season. I'm like,
Do you train with
that's
them?
90. No, I see them at like bodybuilding events and stuff. I talked to James every because I guest posed a few times last year, and James was I think both of them. And then there was one pro show here last year that Stefan guy won in classic. I don't know if you've seen him on TikTok before. He's like a French guy, black guy, like quite
Oh, the one
short.
with crazy fucking proportions. I know
Yeah,
exactly what
yeah.
you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, he won that show. So like we were all there then. Samson was there, James was there. And obviously like I was saying like that, like James is like 300 pounds all off season.
Yeah, that's
And
fucking
he's
crazy.
shorter than me. Samson's about the same height as me and he's 340.
Yeah, no.
That's different, man.
Yeah, no. The biggest guy that I've met is honestly has to be Quentin. Quentin, I trained with Quentin. He was
Yeah, yeah,
fucking
yeah.
huge. He was I don't know if he was 340 or 320. He was definitely somewhere around
Yeah,
there,
he's
but just
around I
fucking
feel like he's like
massive.
yeah. It's crazy, man. And like they carry it so well.
Yeah. Is I
They'll,
can't even
they'll still have like
imagine
a
that.
tapered, yeah, they'll still have like a small waist and like be tapered as fuck, and then it just gets smaller as they get ready for the shows. But yeah, man, I mean, I can't imagine being like, I can't even imagine being 270 yet.
Well, in your perspective, since you've been around a good amount of pros, uh, what do you think is the biggest difference between like the pros in classic and open? I know most people think it's just the drugs, right? That's what most people
It's
think it's the
not.
drugs. It's not the drugs. So in your sense, from what you've
The,
seen,
dr-
what
the
would you
drugs
think it
is
is?
genetic. I mean, like
Yeah.
that's a whole other conversation. You seen those kids that are going viral right now for the dog shit cycles, and they
Oh
look
my
terrible.
God. Yeah. Fucking
Yeah,
my full cycle trend, primo,
yeah.
EQ. It's like trying
The
to edge it.
full
Yeah.
cycle is like, I'm pretty sure it would hospitalize me. Like, I'm not even joking. Like my last off season, I mean, I saw comments where people like, oh, this guy's definitely taking at least 2 grams a week. And I've never touched a gram a week yet
You
of,
haven't
of, of
touched a
any.
gram a week. That's pretty fucking
No.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Genetics.
So, yeah. So that's what I mean. Like, and I feel like it's the genetics, like a lot of, I mean, again, I spoke to Samson, right? He's eating 7,000 calories in his off season, and his drugs are about the same as mine. Maybe they're a tiny bit more. And say like probably the main things like I haven't used growth hormone yet. Like I've never touched it. You already know that.
You haven't used growth hormone at all.
No. So I
Wow.
remember I spoke to you a few months ago by it. I said like, I haven't touched it yet. So I still haven't touched it. And you know, all the biggest guys I spoke to is probably it's just the food. Like I don't know how they do it. So, like, you know, that guy I just showed you on the picture of all of us then, Craig and Wesley.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Craig, he was telling me he puts all of his meals in one huge box and just eats it through the day.
What the fuck?
So like if it's like rice and like potatoes and beef and chicken, he'll just make like a huge box of it and just eat it through the day. Obviously, like if his first meal is like bagels and stuff, he'll eat that separately. But you know, anything he can mix in like one huge box. So he's like 6'3". So he's like 300 pounds in the off season. And Wesley, bro, like Wesley at the Arnold, when he was stood next to the open pros, he looks like an open pro.
Yeah.
He was so big, but I think it's the food, honestly. And I think that the food, I think if the average person spent a day with like an open pro, they'd be absolutely blown away by the amount of food that they're eating.
Oh
Like
yeah.
people say
Yeah.
that to me. People say that to me. They're like, "Oh, you're always eating," and I'm like, I don't even think it's that crazy. I
No.
understand how it is relative to the average person, but I don't think I'm eating in comparison to like, you know, like Pete J Cutler or something like that.
No. I don't dude, I've seen so many of these guys like misquote what they actually fucking did. And
Yeah,
people eat it up. They're just fucking it's just not like not what I've seen videos of Jay say, like, yeah, I tried to eat 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. I love Jay. I think he has a great personality. He's fucking, I always liked watching him when I was younger. But then you go watch one of his full days of eating from like fucking 2004. This guy would eat like fucking a carton of eggs in one meal. Like we're talking
yeah,
about
yeah.
1 gram of protein. This dude was literally eating 500 grams of protein a
He
day.
he said like what did he say? He spent like $500 like a week or something on like just like because he was getting it from the butchers, right? Like fresh meat.
Yeah, yeah.
That there's no way that there's no way he was eating like he was probably like at least I'm gonna say like at least 450 protein, if not more, like 500 grams of protein.
Yeah, no, I watched one of the videos. It was over
Mhm.
500. It was literally over
Yeah,
500. He had like 16 ounces of chicken in one meal and a bunch of egg whites. That was
yeah.
like the meal. Like, what the fuck? But yeah, so how high is your food gotten in like peak?
So at the peak, it was 6,100 and like 86, something like that. That was on a training day. On a rest day, it would have been like 5,000. There's about a 400 to 500 calorie difference between a training day and a rest day for me.
Mm,
Um, so yeah, a rest day would have been like 5,500, 5,600. But yeah, 6,100 right now. I've taken, so I'm about 1,000 calories lower now. It hasn't dropped. That's over, the past 4 weeks. So it's pretty steep, but it hasn't like haven't just pulled 1,000 calories out immediately. So
is that
like
six
again, I'm
meals?
5,000. Yeah, yeah, six meals right now. And it's definitely going to come down a lot lower because of the whole making weight thing. But yeah, I can guarantee like a lot of pros, especially the smaller ones, are probably eating north of 7,000 calories
Yeah.
without
Uh,
without a doubt.
8,000 calories
And
for
like
sure.
I'm not someone like I know Quinton enjoys eating. Like he loves eating.
I
He
hate
can he
eating.
can eat a lot. I'm the same. I'm not like that's the only thing. That's the thing that used to put me off open. But like this off season because I needed to get bigger. I did get used to sit like on. I'd say at the end of the off season, I probably could have eaten 6,500 pretty easily.
How much
But
protein is that?
I think that was like 460 maybe. I can pull up my calories right now and see what my protein is because it hasn't changed. It's just my carbs and probably my fats that have changed right now. So like on a high day right now, my protein is so right now it's 403, so it has gone down. My
Hmm.
carbs is 752 and my fats is 60. And that's like with 1,000 calories taken out from my peak off season.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sounds pretty good. But you don't need more than 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. You're doing
yeah,
great.
exactly,
Yeah. I
exactly.
literally fucking I talked about this other podcast too. I saw some fucking this guy, if you're 150 pounds, there's no way you need to ever eat 200 grams of
But
protein. And it's
yeah,
like, I don't, I said, there's no way you can even eat like a man and eat 5 to 6 meals like a bodybuilder and have less than 200 grams protein. Like you had to be eating
yeah.
like 3 ounces of chicken.
I think people think it's like a brain dead thing where we only eat protein or we only stress over protein. Like no, everything else is also a lot of food. Like carbs are crazy high. Maybe fats aren't crazy high because if you're gonna push your fats that high, you're gonna have no appetite all the time.
Mm.
If you're eating like I don't know, like 120 fats or something. But even with people that I coach, when I've put them on like higher amounts of protein, which for me would be not high, but when they would be high, they've just said to me, oh, you know, like I just feel fuller, or my training sessions are better, getting stronger. And I'm like, yeah, because you're eating like nowhere near enough food, because you have the goal of being a bodybuilder. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
maybe the average person, just to survive and function in a day-to-day life where they don't even exercise. Yeah, sure, maybe they can eat a gram per pound of body weight, but if you're trying to get stronger and bigger, uh, the actual requirements to push your body to adapt to something you haven't done before is more than what the average person thinks it is.
100%. I think everybody, well, obviously we keep regurgitating this, is that most people don't know
Yeah,
anything,
yeah,
but they think the study is like the answer, and they completely disregard that bodybuilding itself is it's the biggest fucking test group study that we have.
yeah.
All these people with anecdotal evidence, everybody, 99% of them will back the fact that, yeah, well, my protein was higher when I made the most progress. It's not because the food was that high, because I've had my caloric intake the same rate, but I can tell you the strongest I was, the most I ever weighed, the biggest I was with the best composition, I was eating 450 grams of protein a day. There's
Yeah,
something
it's
to
like,
it.
yeah, so the same with the exercise selection and shit. Like there was like 40 years of bodybuilding where they didn't really have converging chest presses, but everyone had huge fucking chests anyway. The elite bodybuilders, they still had them, you know?
Yeah.
Like every time I see there was a guy who was consistently commenting on my chest workouts, because I think it was the same thing. He was like, oh, like he doesn't start over converging press. So like he was like, the incline Smith is basically useless and it's doing nothing for my chest, because I don't have a converging chest. But so I was like, I didn't even pay attention to it, but because it's so ridiculous.
That's just brain
Like,
rot.
yeah, converging chest press is great, and if you have one, use it. But it isn't a be all end all, and it doesn't also mean that, like, for competitors, don't think because you have a converging chest press, you're going to beat everyone that doesn't have one. You know?
Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, people went to the extreme with that optimal shit, but yeah, they the protein thing still blows my mind. How people want to try
Yeah.
to constantly fucking argue this as if we don't have an entire population of people
Nah.
who
Yeah.
have
I can
built
I
the
can tell
muscle
you,
that's the way that they do it.
you're not going to find like an open bodybuilder who's eating like 180 grams of protein, 170 grams of protein, and growing at like a significant rate and improving their physique. Is not going to happen.
No, I mean, look at like the progress that you made this past year, which is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And the fact that you just said you didn't even use growth hormone during that phase, which
No.
is crazy, because a lot of people would see that and think, yeah, GH. And you said you were less than a
Yeah.
gram of gear total
Yeah.
during that whole process.
Yeah.
It's just the diet and the training and the
Yeah.
consistency every day, fucking just hitting the target, hitting it the nail on the head every single time,
Yeah.
every
It was,
day.
it's literally just two compounds. I'm not gonna. I mean, you're on the same boat as me here, where like we don't put specific numbers out because people are stupid and they'll
Mm-hmm.
just immediately try and run those numbers. But it was two compounds, again, like low numbers on both, because I don't have a crazy high tolerance anyway. So I just break out, and side effects that really aren't worth it, because you're on stage and you can't get on a pro stage, with like bad guy or horrible skin. Like it's not a good look.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was those, and then it was the food. Like that was the hardest challenge by far. Like the food,
The
especially,
food.
yeah, especially like when it was going up, and when I wasn't at the peak of the off season yet, and like you feel full as fuck, and then like you're adding like 200 or 300 calories, and you already feel very fucking full, and you're already like done from a digestion point of view. But you still have to, and eventually your body will adapt to it. It won't be as hard as it was when you first started. Is
Of course.
getting through that barrier where you don't feel you don't feel good eating, and you don't want to add any more food. You have to regardless.
Yeah, you got to force your body to work like clockwork. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously, where the food comes from, obviously that's made a huge impact on the progress you make. The bodybuilder lifestyle, the chicken and rice doesn't have to be chicken and rice, but the quality of the food you're eating and being consistent with that.
Yeah.
Because again, we still come back to the same problems that have been going on for years. Is people think it's just about the caloric intake and the macros, and especially now that we have fucking Sam, Sam Sulek, he blew up,
Mm.
and I guess I have only seen a couple. I haven't actually watched any of his videos in full, but I've skimmed through them and I've seen like how he eats and like how people react to that, and
Yeah,
who
even
he
a full day of eating, like he said in the video, that isn't how he eats all the time. He was just doing that because he's traveling. And like he's a 21-year-old kid. Like
yeah
he trains very fucking hard, and he was eating a lot of food anyway. But yeah, I remember seeing a full day of eating food, and like the whole chocolate milk thing, and like now everyone's like, oh yeah, chocolate milk must be the
Yeah.
secret. Like I promise Roddy was not like devouring chocolate milk, to get
Yeah.
into his level of success. None of us are.
Yeah.
I
No.
can't even drink, that kind of shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole Sam thing, like, I think Sam's a great guy. He used to speak to me on TikTok before he was like, where he is now.
I did.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I think he's a lot smarter than people actually realize. And I think most of the things that people love to post about him, like his food and stuff, I don't think that actually reflects how he lives his lifestyle either. Because
Mm-hmm.
you can look at his physique and know what kind of lifestyle he's living. We
Yeah.
both can. We can probably pick apart most people's physiques and say, we can look at someone and say, yeah, he's probably got his nutrition locked in. He's probably not.
Mm-hmm.
It's the average person can't. And when you get a funny video, I think it was probably almost like a bit of that first viral video. I think it was probably a bit of a troll, to be honest.
I don't
If I'm
know.
being
I don't know him. I just like have
mm,
seen this shit and seen people fucking freak out about it. But uh, people, I see a lot of people take what they saw, I guess, from what he was eating in that video, and
mm,
people use it to justify again the laziness and the bad habits of, well, it was just about the fucking macros, about the protein. I could go eat a Wendy's Baconator and still make the same progress as you did in this offseason as long as I'm hitting this numbers. It's like, no, you can't. It's consistency. It's the fucking type of food you're eating, hitting the everyday like clockwork, getting your body into a set schedule, maximizing sensitivity, which obviously, you have to be to make that progress. You could see how your composition improves, the nutrient
oh yeah,
timing, all that
that's
shit.
another thing I didn't really mention, but like this off season, I definitely spent a lot of time figuring out, how to improve my digestion and
Mm-hmm.
again, like my sensitivity as well, because that was the last off season. Digestion was probably the biggest thing that held me back from being able to push food any higher. Whereas this year, I got into a really good routine with it, and there's the same like avoiding shit,
Mm-hmm.
shit quality food and like highly processed food and things that I know bother me. Because for me, like say, like I have an off plan. If it was like high in dairy or something, that would like set me back for 2 days. It's like 2 days a week where I was not really able to handle the level of calories that I should be able to handle.
It's
And
just,
if the average person is doing that, you know, they're going to make way less progress.
yeah, I think digestion problems hold a lot of people back, and a lot of people aren't even aware that they have them. And it's just ultra processed food shit like that. It's just cancer for you. People want to argue
Yeah.
it's not that bad for you. It's so stupid to be like, how can you argue that this has any utilization or is good for you? The point of bodybuilding is not just calories and food. It's food that's gonna provide value and help you. That's why everything matters, right? And everybody knows, you've all heard people go on a fucking diet, right? Like, I feel so good. I feel so good. And it's because that person's normal. They're used to eating these processed foods and shit. So
Yeah.
they might not think they have digestive issues. They might be fine because that's their state of normal. They have a Wendy's Baconator every other day. They're used to that. So they think it's normal for me, but then they go on a diet. I feel great. And now if you stick with a diet, everybody knows you stick with a diet for so long and then you have some of that shit. You're like, oh, I feel like
Yeah.
shit. Why? Because that shit's terrible for you. That's why. But
They're,
if
they're
that's,
just their body can't believe it's getting vegetables for the first time in 8 years.
yeah. But when you're used to that shit, you don't understand like the opposite end of the spectrum as to what feeling good really feels like. So you think eating this shitty way, this dirty bulk is fine because you may not know that you have issues until you see the other side. And then you have a baconator and
Yeah,
you're like, I feel like fucking garbage. Why would I ever eat this shit?
yeah. The Sam thing as well. Like he's very young, and this I always have this conversation with people. This shit I used to get away with when I was 19, 20, even from like a lifting point of view as well, that I just wouldn't do now. Like sometimes when I get like the memories of like old lifts and stuff, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ, if I did that now, that I'd be
Hmm.
out of the gym for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I did
You're
I didn't tear something.
an old man.
And yeah, bro, honestly, bodybuilding ages you, man.
Yeah, it does. You're a lot
But
more resilient. Everybody knows that
yeah,
as you get older, even if you're not a bodybuilder, all people who get older eventually get, gut and digestive problems. It just, takes longer to catch on. But especially when you're bodybuilding and slamming food, it's going to happen faster. You should have your diet in check. Same with like the training way. Like the way you see Sam train, like he's not going to be able to train like that forever unless it's just a genetic
no,
phenom. Like you look at Branch, like there's anybody who trains like Branch, 99% of people would fucking be so hurt. They have so many injuries, but that's just he's a
even
genetic
even
phenom. He did.
Like he like tore both triceps, had a quad
Did he?
tear as well. I think. Yeah, he
That's
tore
caught up
both
to him.
triceps. I think he had a quad tear as well. And yeah, man, like I think Branch is fucking awesome, but
Mhm.
I'd be actually scared for my career if I was going to train with
Yeah, I'd be
him.
like, no way. It's great to see the intensity, and you should bring that to the gym.
Mm.
But with good execution, because again, being able to train like that is more genetics than anything else. Some people are
Yeah,
more resilient in different areas, like digestive things like that. Some people just have the resilience of tendon strength, and they have a much less likelihood of getting injured compared to you, who might go and do that for a couple weeks, and next thing you know, you have your tendons hurt here, you possibly tear a
yeah,
pec. It's not good it's not smart to do, but
no, yeah. So like Sam's definitely at like his peak in terms of the things you can get away with anyone, during any time of your life.
mm-hmm.
Because I can tell you right now, like, but I guarantee when he's our age, like 25, 26, there will be, at the very least, if he wants to maintain or improve the physique that he has, there will be some differences in his training. Absolutely, especially down to a execution point of view, and more than likely, and again, I don't know how he actually eats day to day. He did say in that video there was so many people that took the context out of it, where
As they
he
do with everything.
I don't even think he was meant to be a full day of eating. From his point of view, he seemed like he was just vlogging, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he realized they were going to title it a full day of eating. I know I watched one of Fuad's podcasts afterwards, and he was like, "Yeah, Sam doesn't eat like that all the time."
Mm-hmm.
That was before that video had like blown up and took off. To everyone was making videos on it.
Yeah. People take everything out of context, and there's really no way to avoid that. Everybody has selective hearing, and they want to pull shit for their own views, their own benefit. Yeah, everybody tries to. I hate that. This is, again, I said, like, I try not to stitch people. But when I do stitch people, they're usually like people that aren't fucking famous and well known. It's just something I see going around, and it's like, we got to put a stop to this. But people will use like Sam's name or other people just to get views and draw in traction. I think that's such like a fucking, you got to make your content, but I see it as like such a scummy, like lazy way to do things. Like, let's just
There
record
was a,
this
there was a
famous.
video, sorry, an Instagram post I saw, and I sent it to a few people because I thought it was ridiculous. So it was a post of Sam, some random Instagram account. I'd never seen the account before. And they called, like, in a caption, it was like the Sam Sulek cycle. And bro, if I so it started off with like 1,000 milligrams of test. Immediately, I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. There's like 800 primo, 700 mast, 300 tren, growth, both types of insulin, like 2 fat burners. I was like,
Two
okay,
types of insulin.
yeah. So it was like, both types of insulin, like the fast acting, slow acting, growth, like 2 or 3 fat burners, both Tren E and Tren A. And I was like,
Was it serious? Was it a serious video?
yeah, yeah. So it was a full on series post, and it was like, if you want other pro cycles, follow and like click the link in my bio. And like, you already know there's some kid that's like maxing his dad's credit card on some underground lab buying all this.
That's fucking crazy. Yeah, people do this shit. It's ridiculous,
I
Fucking
see them all the time. I see like they'll be like Kevin Levrone cycle, or click here for like Lee Priest or whatever. They'll just put like a picture. Whatever bodybuilder's trending, they'll like put a picture of him on and be like, "Here's his cycle glow." And I'm like, "You never spoke to this guy in your life."
mm-hmm. No.
And the cycle's always crazy as well. They're always crazy.
Yeah, it's always
Like
crazy.
I'm sure that like one of them was actually, when Dallas McCarver's cycle came out after he passed,
Uh-huh.
or like allegedly his cycle. Sorry, I don't know if it was actually his cycle, but they'll copy and paste stuff like that and put it in a caption, so it looks ridiculous,
Uh-huh.
and people will definitely be believing it.
Yes, people just throwing shit around. I saw this, you see it on TikTok. Here's what, Sam Sulek's running. Here's what the Trend Twins are running. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And
People
people
will probably say I'm lying because I said I took less than a gram for this off season. Like, there's
probably.
no way he was 250 and lean. There'll be definitely people that think I'm lying because I said that. They'll be like, maybe 250, but not 250, and have lines in your midsection and your legs.
Yeah,
Like, there's just no
we'll clip it and put it on TikTok and see what they say. See
way.
how they respond. They're definitely, a lot of people definitely aren't going to believe it, but again, it's just genetics, and
No.
it's the little shit. It's the
Mm.
pennies add up to dollars, the not missing the meal, the being on point with everything. leaving no stone unturned, because the little shit adds up and it makes a big difference in the long run, especially over a year, a little longer than a whole year off season. That's a lot of opportunity for growth if you do it right and stay consistent day to day.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like 12 months, more than 12 months, really, like 14 months of being able to grow and improve. Most people don't have that anyway. Even pros, like they'll compete every year. Not a lot of people will actually take a full year to spend that time growing. A couple of guys that I know that have turned pro over here and either already done a show or been in prep for a lot longer than me now. So they haven't really had that time to grow and improve,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not common.
After this, do you think you're gonna do you think you'll ever do an off season this long again? Or do you have any intention to, at least right now?
I don't know. I think it depends on the result for a start. And then again, if I was going to go into open, I'd have to take at least the same amount of time.
If you want to open,
I think I'd have to. But like as far as classic, it kind of depends because I still feel like there's more to, like more to be desired from my physique, from a size point of view, and not like as in I need like masses like desperately needed like it was before this off season. But I do feel like things like my arms and my chest can be fuller. I still feel like my back can grow. The only part where I feel like I don't really need much more mass is like my quads really and my delts maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But everywhere else I do think can have some more size added to it. I mean, I have to see how it's body dysmorphia is a bitch. Like, I'll have to see how it actually compare. I mean, bro, when I was speaking to Stefan, he said to me, this was after he'd won that show. So me and Yemi were just talking to him, and he said like that he needs to be a lot bigger. Like that guy was telling us like that. I was like, maybe for the Olympia you can come in a bit sharp because his conditioning was good, but it definitely is. I don't think he would have done. I don't think he would have been in the top 10 with that level of conditioning he had there. But he was telling us like he was convinced he needs to be bigger. He's bigger now. Like if you like, well, I think he's going to go to 212. If you look at his Instagram right now, he's so much bigger. He's huge, and he struggled to make weight for the last couple of shows anyway.
Oh shit.
He was not making weight. I heard that it took him like a day to make weight, the whole day.
So yeah, I haven't seen him. I'll have to look. But yeah, he had crazy. I know he had crazy fucking proportions. But do you think you're going to be doing, as long as you're in classic right now, like competing back to back every year?
Potentially, yeah. I think maybe maybe like later end of the year or something like that. Potentially. So maybe if I compete every year, there might be a year where I don't necessarily try and qualify for that Olympia, but I'll do a show that year after the Olympia to try and qualify for the one, in the year after. But I think with classic, you probably, I mean, with pro bodybuilding, if you take too much time away, I do think you actually, in general, get left behind. I've never really seen people that do take 2 or 3 years out and come back and they're ahead of everyone else.
No, I don't know how long Keon took off. He took off for a little bit.
He missed that Olympia. I think he did a show that year, qualified for the Olympia, and he missed. He didn't do the Olympia, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can't even remember how he qualified for the last one.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure.
No,
but
he's a young guy as well. I think when you're established in your career, a little bit older than me, I do think that taking too much time away probably has its drawbacks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got to show up. You don't have a sponsor though, right? You don't have any supplement sponsors right now?
No, just the clothing with Kev.
With Kev, yeah. And you're going down to Houston. What are you guys doing down there? Just shooting?
I think it's actually, is it Houston? We're going to Metroflex. So
oh no, that's in Dallas.
Yeah, in Dallas. So shooting, training there. I think I'm there for. It's going to be rough, man. I'm 10-hour flight. I'm there for 2 days, and I'm flying back.
Jesus Christ!
I've also got to go down to London the night before. My flight's at 8 in London. London's like 6-7 hours from here, so it's going to be a long few days. At least it's not like 6 or 5 weeks out. That'd be brutal.
So what do you do in that scenario? I guess because for people listening, when you travel, you're traveling in prep. You're going somewhere. You're on a 10-hour flight. What is your plan of action to stay on track here?
So I'm gonna have to meal prep for both days. In terms of things like protein sources, I'm not gonna be able to eat chicken that has been at room temperature for like probably more than 24 hours. So for that, I'll have to find some kind of replacement. But in terms of like the carb sources and things like that, I will meal prep. Kev's already spoke to me. He's been really good. He's like, he's going to make sure we find a grocery store with everything I need. I've already told him what I need for traveling there. Again, if you were going to do something like that for a sponsor, you'd probably speak to them in advance, because he asked me if there's anything I need for you to make sure that the prep goes as smoothly as possible. But yeah, for traveling like that, you do need to take responsibility, even for my guest posing. So when I guest posed last year, they were always in London. And the first time I did just kind of eat on the road, I was stopping at like little service stations and eating whatever. The other two times I didn't. And then when I headed down to that pro show as well, I didn't. I felt a lot better. And I think when I guest posed as well, I looked a lot better. The first one, I was a little bit flat, to be honest. I didn't really care because it's just guest posing, and I was in decent enough condition. But it's more about not trying to have that interruption in my off season. I like 2 days where I'm kind of not really eating enough, and maybe a checking on my weight isn't where it should be. And it really, I could have done it. I think if you're traveling for like maybe above like 20 hours and you can't really help it, if you head into like Australia from here or something, then maybe you just kind of get in as much as you possibly can. But like, I've just seen Urz's story earlier today, and he said that he's like lost clothes in his flight. He's only had 3 hours sleep in the last 48 hours, and he's still doing his cardio where he can, getting little day passes at gyms and shit.
Yeah.
It is all just down to how much of a priority it is to you. So for me, I probably won't miss any meals there.
So how do you bring your meals though? You just put them on a lunchbox and bring them on the flight?
Yeah. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna be eating them. I don't care who sat next to me on a plane. They'll be smelling like warm chicken and rice.
Yeah, no, that's what you gotta do. Nick Walker told me he brings a whole extra suitcase just packed with prep meals every time he travels.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy. I think that's what Ryan Terry did as well. I mean, I remember he was really lucky. His sponsors would send stuff to wherever he was staying. Like, they'd just send his meals. So when he gets off the flight and gets to his accommodation, his meals have arrived, that's the dream, really.
That's great.
To have fresh prepped meals for you there. But yeah, I think especially someone like Nick, he's at the top of the game. Top 5 on the planet. It's the same with Samson. His girlfriend, all her luggage is his food. So like he'll have his luggage with their clothes in, and all her suitcases are just his food. I was talking to him, and his girlfriend is like getting a meal out of her bag, giving it to him, because her like alarm is going off on her phone to tell him to eat.
It's teamwork. They got the system down.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing, if you get a girlfriend and you bodybuilding, you definitely want them to support. I mean, my girlfriend cooks all my meals, whenever she can. She helps out. Whenever we're traveling, she's like planning everything for me, because I'm shit at it. She's like, you need to eat this, you need to eat that. By the time you get here, this shop will be closed, so we'll get this, we'll have this ready so that you don't miss a meal here. It's definitely something that at our level you can't really afford to miss it, because there's at least one pro who's so hardcore they'll fucking do it anyway.
Of course.
So you can't rely on like, maybe if everyone else I was competing against was in my shoes, they do the same, because I can guarantee there's some guy that in his head thinks he's Phil Heath and he'll do it.
Be the hardest worker.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's the same with you, man. I know, like with you and like the setbacks you've had in terms of training, you still found a way around it. It's whenever I think of people, especially I got a lot of clients nowadays, I don't know what the reason is, but they never want to do deadlifts, and I'm like, listen, I've seen you do RDLs with your back.
I have sciatica pain down both my legs. I don't think it's I play it off well. I just know because it's part of my life, right? I've had it for 8 years. It'd actually be crazy. I might fucking cry, honestly, if I get this surgery and it's gone, because I'll feel completely different. But it'll be crazy. But the way that I've managed this pain for the past 8 years, and the shit that I've done with this pain, I've had the 2 radiologists tell me now that like most people with the problems that my back have, they would not be walking around, they would not be in the gym doing what I'm doing, like they would be probably just laying down fucking in pain all day. And I'm at the gym putting 500 pounds on my back and squatting. Obviously that wasn't helping, but I still went there and fucking got through it.
It's the intent, like you still didn't take you didn't find an excuse, which a lot of people love to have an excuse as to why they can't do this or they can't do that. Like a lot of people, for me, they'll be like, oh, I don't really like RDLs, or I don't like this deadlift because I don't feel it in my hamstrings, or it doesn't feel right to me. I'll say send me a video, and then immediately I'm already fixing a technique. I'm like, this isn't like, your execution isn't here. Your back's bent and your hips aren't in line. Like straight away, there's things, and it's very fucking hard. Once you relearn how to like perform any hinge movement as a bodybuilder, it becomes way fucking harder.
Uh-huh.
And you get the results from it. Your back's gonna blow up, your glutes and hamstrings are gonna be a lot better, but it's going to take a lot more work, and it's gonna kick your fucking ass. Like I've done that session today with my hinges in it, and it's always put me to sleep. Like at the peak of my off season when I was 255, I was like doing, RDLs. I only had one set as well, so I couldn't really fuck up that. I couldn't really be a bitch for that set.
Yeah.
And in the same session, I had like chest supported rows, and the have you used a prime extreme row?
Yeah.
I don't know if you, yeah, I was using that as well. So by the time I was done with that session, I felt fucked. So I'm coming home and I was sleeping for like 2 hours, I was eating and then just going to sleep.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I'd still be tired. Like the fatigue would still be there the week after. And I still have to, at the very least, try and match that, that same intensity and match those reps in the same way.
Yeah.
A lot of people won't do that because it's so fucking hard to do.
No, and a lot of people also make the excuse now because you just said like you felt, fatigue, you still feel drained. Like now everybody's like, well, you're driving too much fatigue, it's gonna inhibit growth. And it's like, clearly, fuck not. Look at this guy.
In comparison to you, I'm doing that in like full health, Like, yeah, maybe I had like soreness or just like a tired, tired joints and things like that. But I wasn't doing it with, like you said, constant pain in my legs and in my back as well. So I do think a lot of people could probably push themselves more than they really want to.
Again, like you said, you watch these people do things and there's so many things to improve upon. And the thing about bodybuilding, training for hypertrophy, the whole goal is to make the movement as hard as possible for the target muscle. And a lot of people don't know how to do that. And this is also why I've said before, and this pisses people off that I say that bodybuilders are stronger than powerlifters. It's because if you deadlift or if you bench or squat the way that a bodybuilder does, so I guess we should say the techniques require more strength. If you bench the way that a bodybuilder benches, and then you take a powerlifter and they bench the same weight with their different technique, it's more contractile force, more contractile strength because the bodybuilder is using way more of their chest.
When I was younger, I used to deadlift like, I was the same, I did the whole power building shit. Didn't get me nowhere, but didn't get me to the point where bodybuilding has got me because I was doing it for my physique. I also just had that ego of wanting to tell people what I squat, bench, and deadlift, despite the fact that my chest was weak, my back was weak, and my hamstrings were all weak. But I used to deadlift like conventional deadlift, powerlifting style. I was 80 kg, 83, 84 kg. So what's that, like 189 or something? I was 189, and I used to deadlift like 550 plus for reps like every week, and I had no hamstrings, no glutes, no back. So now I'm RDL like 405 with, like you said, a bodybuilder technique, and my hamstrings, glutes. Again, my food is different, and I'm enhanced, but my execution, I've seen those improvements through my training in my physique because I'm doing them with a bodybuilder technique and with the bodybuilding goal in mind. So the execution changes in comparison to doing it as a powerlifter. So you are right there. Like I can say, I can vouch for you personally that when I changed from those kind of techniques, the physique changed as well. And it also became a lot fucking harder, and I was not using the way I was using previously.
Yeah. And you said also like people will say they don't like RDLs, or I've had people come to me say, I get pain when I do this, or my lower back is on fire, I can't do this movement. And then you watch their form. It's not the fact that they're getting any actual real pain. It's the fact that they're executing it incorrectly. They're having, maybe a bunch of lumbar flexion. They're not having any core control. So their lower back's taking over, getting all this metabolic stress there. They're building up this lactic acid. It's like, we can fix these things and we can make this movement much more effective. And it's not going to fucking hurt you. You just have to take the steps to learn it. And it's not going to happen instantly overnight. You're going to practice. And
you have to think about bodybuilding. Like when you get into a movement, you have to think about it. You have to think about other things. I mean, now for us, when we train, I think a lot of bodybuilders probably get that lost in translation. We've been doing it for so long that it's almost just second nature. It's like instinct, you know, when you're going to go into a deadlift, you think about your back position and you think about your hips, you know, you think about, I mean, when I watch people do RDLs and their legs are straight, there's no bend in their knee whatsoever. And when I try and get them to have that, you know, knee flexion, they're almost just squatting with the bar instead, and they can't. It's going to
they'll
take them a
drop
long
down.
time. Yeah, they'll just drop down instead, and it's going to take them a while to get used to performing that movement correctly. But for us, you know, you just do it straight away because you've been doing it for so long. But there was a time where I used to deadlift. I used to just stiff-legged deadlift absolutely everything back in the day when I was first in the gym. I'm surprised I didn't have any back injuries because I used to one rep max with my legs fully extended, and I'm like 6'1", you know.
Yeah, I mean, you could honestly, you know, the majority of people, I've learned a lot about the spine from dealing with all this shit, but a lot of people, I don't know what the exact number is. It's like 75% or 80%. I'm not sure. It's a number that's high up there. Have disc herniations or multiple herniations.
Oh yeah.
And they just never know because they don't get any of the symptoms. So you could have your shit fucked up back there, but you might not even know anything until you're 60 and it starts to aggravate a nerve. So
yeah, that's definitely true. I've seen that with a lot of people, knee issues and things like that. They don't really know. Like especially with squat techniques and leg press techniques, where you can see that in a few years they're just developing knee problems because they like to leg press that way, it feels comfortable, or they like to deadlift that way because they can pull more with it.
yeah,
And
well, they're reinforcing a bad habit. Yeah. So when you have a tendency to like overcompensate or do something, it might not be necessarily painful that way. The way you should be doing it might be painful, but your body is taking the path of least resistance because might be weak. This might be weak here, or there might be scar tissue or some fucking tension there or something that's forcing you to do it this way so it feels good. But in reality, like you just need to fix the root problem so that you could do it the right way and get more of the movement and avoid what you're doing now becoming into a long-term problem.
It's like I've watched a lot of how Nick trains, and like you said, you know, you've seen him in person, and his training is so intentional. And maybe there's weights that, you know, maybe someone that's a couple of years into training, yeah, sure, they could lift the same weight, but for the same reps and the same execution that Nick's doing it, they wouldn't. They would just wouldn't be able to move it the same way at all. I find that really funny. Like I have kids that have told me they're like 18 and they're incline pressing like the 155s and they're doing like half a rep, you know. There's no eccentric control there. It's like all front delts, and the front delts are screaming at them. And obviously they don't have, like, I can tell you right now, you're not lifting the same as a top Olympian.
No.
With the same execution, you're not, because you'd look like him if you were.
Yeah, no, it's a
you'd have that
same
same
and banging.
Yeah, you'd have that same level of development.
It's a learning process. That's all. So it is. I think everybody goes through that, you know, they go through a phase where they just want to fucking pick up heavy shit and start lifting. And then you just, maybe if you're not one of those Dunning-Kruger motherfuckers on TikTok who thinks you're smarter than everybody else, you'll, you know, start to use context clues and get better at your training over time, and execution will improve, and you'll probably, you know, start using less weight and progressively overload in that fashion with better form. But again, like when you're younger, you just get away with a lot more shit. You're a lot more resilient. Some people more so than others due to genetic factors, but you know, you're a lot less injury prone. You could pick up, maybe if you get strong enough to push 150s, you might do that and not have any fucking issues, but do that 5 years down the road with the same type of execution, it's probably not going to work out the same way. So everybody goes through that journey though.
But yeah, my level of transformation, I wouldn't have been able to have. I think even if I had a coach 2 years ago, I still wouldn't have the same level of transformation, because I wouldn't have been as precise with diet. I wouldn't have been taking things like my digestion and my food sources as seriously or into account. And especially like when I trained with Dorian, that opened up, you know, so many contexts in terms of training that I just didn't used to think about, and I could carry that over to other body parts as well. I mean, luckily for me, we trained back, and that was my biggest weak point at the time. And if I didn't have that experience, I probably wouldn't have got my pro card, because my back would have been holding me back. It's funny, the guy that I was battling with for those 2 shows that season, his back was his weak point as well. You know, we had the same weak point, but for me, I had the benefit of training with a Mr. Olympia who identified all my weaknesses and absolutely fucking humbled me. You know, I think before that, I was rowing 315. You know, most people can't row anyway. And yeah, I could pull it to my fucking core if I wanted, but it wasn't reflecting in my physique at all. And there was a lot of development that was left to be desired in my back until I actually had someone break that technique down, really push me to actually train hard in an uncomfortable way.
Mm.
And that definitely pushed me. And now that I have that, I've had that for years of improving and working that. And now I have a coach that's, very smart in terms of PEDs, in terms of nutrition, and then also just, the experience that, like you talk about. You can't you can't speed run that experience. You just have to have time there. So that's why I've been able to make that kind of a transformation.
Yeah, experience is a huge factor. Did Dorian have you only do one set per exercise? Oh, he didn't. No,
No, we
not
didn't.
one set. Oh, that's a
I mean, I know
shocker.
we have like, no, no. I don't know how many sets we did. If you watch the video, because I did put that video on my YouTube channel, you can see us doing multiple sets. I mean, the first thing we did was the Nautilus pullover. And so we did like maybe 3 or 4 warm-ups. And then we were basically just doing working sets until we actually failed in that rep range. So I might have done a crazy set of 10 or 12 on the pullover. And he's like, yeah, but there's more left in the tank. So we're going to up the weight and we're going to go again. I think on that pullover, I'm sure I did 6 sets, maybe 7, because I ended up doing the full stack and he went away and got a gym pin and put a 20 kg plate on as well. So I did like about 140 or 160 kg pullovers with him spotting me. That's not, I wouldn't just do that by myself. That was like a whole forced rep set, which
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure most people wouldn't even think Dorian used those kind of intensity methods, but he does. We did partials, we did rest pauses, we did force reps, we did all that. And we did a bunch of sets on everything.
Yeah.
It was basically just, the volume maybe would have been less if he knew where my strength level was, but it still wouldn't have been one set. It was not just doing one set and moving on.
Yeah, it amazes me how many people fall into that and think that that's what they actually
No.
did. I'm
I
pretty
think
sure.
a lot of people who think they train like Dorian, if they actually trained with him, they'd be like, oh, this is way fucking harder. And it's
No.
not what I thought it was. You're not just doing 2 sets on an exercise, ego lifting and screaming, and then moving on. That's not what it is.
Yeah. No.
He
People have
told
no
he
fucking
told me
idea.
he told me he never deadlifted more than 200 kg, which is like what, 425, I think. He never
Yeah.
deadlifted more than 425 throughout his career, because as soon as he did, the form broke down and he didn't feel it was improving his physique. So he just did a ton of sets with that weight instead,
Mm-hmm.
which is solid weight to be doing, especially with his technique where the plates aren't touching the floor. And with someone who's as much of a perfectionist as he is, he's making sure that his execution probably wasn't perfect on those sets for years. He's just working on it, and maybe he was stuck at 5 reps for months, and then it's taken him months of improving at that 5 to finally actually get to 6. And then maybe he's pulling back and going back to 4 plates for a bit and
Mm-hmm.
going up to 10 reps or something and doing a bunch of sets there. But yeah, no, it's not 5 reps of fucking bouncing the bar and 2 sets and then moving on, 1 set, moving on. It is not. I don't understand how anyone thinks that was it. When he's saying that to people, he's saying that he's, working his way up to those 2 sets, and he's actually tired by the time he gets to those 2 sets anyway. And
Yeah.
then those are probably the 2 most important sets where he's working in like a, whatever 4, 6, or 8 rep range and giving it everything he has there with execution that most people will never have in the gym anyway.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he has a logbook, a book of his workouts. You could actually see. I saw it a while ago, but you could clearly see that he did a substantial fucking amount of volume that's actually recorded and written down, but people will ignore that and just go off of what they, hear on TikTok. It's like he did heavy duty training
The
one
one thing I
set.
will say is, yeah, he did spend like what, 55 an hour. I mean, that workout with him was 55 minutes for me. It was actually 55 minutes, but it just wasn't maybe a crazy amount of exercises. It wasn't 4 sets of 12 with 10 exercises for your chest. Like
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't that kind of horse shit. Maybe it was 4. I mean, I think we did 6 exercises in that workout, maybe, because I don't think that we did any biceps there. I think it was just basically back and rear delts that session. Because yeah, he has an arm day. So we did the pullovers, the hammer strength row, uh, the bent over row, and then a upper back row and a rear delts. And then at the end we did deadlifts as well. So 6 exercises.
That's not bad. Yeah.
No, but yeah, man. Honestly, it was three exercises. I was in the hinge position. I don't throw up from training, but I came fucking close. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I would always save any hinge movements for the most part or squats for the end of the workout, because I would just know every time I do those, I'm training hard. Like I'm after that, I'm fucking shot. I saved the hardest shit for the last, so I can just go home after that.
And it's Dorian as well. You know, like he wasn't taking any kind of form breakdown. Like as soon as you fell into like a bad position, you just well, he's snapping at you straight away and making sure that you go back into that position. And you can actually do it. It's just very uncomfortable. So like you said, you falling back into those bad habits. Like for me, something that I kept doing with my rows, and I used to do it, was like twist my wrists up when I did a row, it's like pull it a little bit deeper, and he'd make sure that I don't do that, and I actually pulled it, into the position I'm supposed to be pulling it into. But like he'll push you to a level that you haven't been before. Absolutely. And I was like, he did have a psycho mindset, he just lived, like you said, like lived that lifestyle for 10 years that most people wouldn't do it. And I guarantee it was boring as fuck. Like it was cool on video to see the training and everything, but the rest of his days would have been so fucking monotonous and boring.
I saw people see the highlights of the experience when people making, they look back, they'll see the rocky highlights, they see what's recorded, what looks cool, but really like the day-to-day activities, it's a very boring, lonely, just fucking, it's what you choose. It's your passion. It's sacrificing now for what's to come, but it's not something that anybody would look at and be like, I want to live that lifestyle. It seems fucking terrible from the outside.
It's enjoyable for us, but to watch, or if you're not really interested in it or you don't have a desire to do it, it's boring. It is very boring. You know? Like I don't really think, to me, like with bodybuilding, I don't watch a lot of content because I'm entertained by, like, I do think the podcasts, because most of the time they're funny, or I'd even prefer dramatic podcasts where they're talking shit about each other, because it's more entertaining. Like I don't need to watch another bodybuilder do a chest workout. If I really want to do that, I have a coach. So it's not going to be and again with food, I have my own diet plan. I don't need to watch someone else's diet. I'd rather watch someone do like a 20,000 calorie challenge and throw up failing. That's more entertaining than watching someone else's diet, because their diet doesn't matter to me anyway.
I think it's also, it's like you said, you said you don't want to sound like you're superior, but even people like you're not superior to. It's just, with the level that you're at, the amount of training that both of us has done, like where we're at, you're obviously fucking a pro. There's nothing like, other people watch that stuff and they can pick stuff up. Sure. Like, how does this guy eat? I want to see how, because, this is something I can, maybe pick something up from. How are they training? Pick up things, which is great. But for someone like you and me, it's like, there's nothing you're going to pick up from another pro bodybuilder's diet. Like, you're at that level. You have this, there's really not that much of a difference. If you're going to pick up anything, it's going to be from the people who are, providing education, teaching this shit, that are helping those people.
Someone I guess a lot of criticism is, Hunter Labrada, and you remember his old diet, like it was pretty much all blended. And he looks better now that he doesn't do that. But how could I criticize that when he'd been to the Olympia twice and he'd done 10 shows? Like, you could say someone else shouldn't do it, and I'm sure that acid reflux was probably fucking horrible, but he was one of the top 10 bodybuilders in the world when he was doing that. It's not like that. You're always going to see unconventional things anyway. That's why, like, watching another pro doesn't matter to me. Like, there's those videos where people say barbell benching isn't the best chest exercise, but you're always going to find someone that's one of the best bodybuilders in the world that's consistently doing it. You just are. It doesn't matter. Like, again, if you asked anyone, if anyone asked you, can I have a liquid diet? basically, can I blend out my meals and get to the Olympia? You're going to say, no, that's fucking retarded. But
Yeah.
you're not going to say Hunter can't do it. You're just going to say, for you, it's not something that you want to start off doing, you know? I
Yeah.
guarantee he wasn't doing that for years. It
No,
was just, he was at a point where he was what, like
he
290 or something,
he couldn't
280?
eat. He was having like
Yeah,
problems with
yeah,
his gut. I don't know if that was helping it or what, but
exactly. Exactly. So it's not like I would watch that and be like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna
yeah,
start blending all my meals.
people
No,
take a lot of shit out of context. They don't understand,
no.
what they're actually looking at. Like people will take a workout from a guy who's at the Olympia or what they're eating right now, or maybe even how much gear they're running right now and not take into consideration. They say like, oh, Chris doesn't barbell squat or he doesn't do this. It's like,
Yeah,
what did Chris do to get to that point? Did he squat?
yeah.
Was he running that same amount of gear to get to that point? Was it more? How was he eating to get to that point? Not what he's doing now, but what did it take to go from where you are now to get to close to where he is? Because that's a different story.
Exactly. I put a video a bit ago on the story of me doing pull-ups, and I just captioned it like I was like, oh, like it's funny I can still do pull-ups at like 255, you know, because I hadn't done them in years. And everyone was like, oh, you know, should I stop doing lat pull downs or rows? The reason I did it is because I just had some elbow issues with most of the pull downs I was doing, because you know I was progressively overloading them to a point where my elbows just didn't really like it. So my coach was like, just do pull-ups for a bit. That was it. You know, there wasn't any magical reason, or it wasn't the secret to my back or something. It was just my elbows fucking hurt from the lat pull down. So let me do something different for a bit.
Yeah, I love
That
pull-ups.
was it.
So
Yeah. I do fucking love them. I've kept them in since, you know,
yeah,
but it isn't like that was something that everyone needs to do, you know, to develop their back. Yeah. You'll
yeah,
find someone that's never done a pull-up that has a great fucking back. You'll find someone that only does pull-ups that has a great fucking back.
yeah. Did you see Did you see Dune 2?
I've not seen it yet.
Did you see the first
And
one?
I've not even seen the first one, you know. I've been like, it is on my Netflix list, but I've not
You
seen it
haven't
yet.
seen the first one.
No,
Oh wow.
no.
Yeah. That's good.
I haven't really, I don't know, because I mean, I'm the same as you, where it's like, you know, like a passion of mine. So I want to be able to sit down and just watch it and not like think about other shit. I don't want to watch it in parts either. I hate doing that for
No,
films.
no, you
No,
gotta
I
watch it all
can't.
at once.
Yeah. And I know that that's like, you know, an artistic masterpiece. If you watch it in three parts, you're not really gonna experience it the way it's supposed to be experienced.
Yeah, it takes away. The first one's really long and drawn out. It's very slow. The second one is pretty good. I would see the second one. Well, you're in prep, so you can't have popcorn and shit.
Yeah.
That's like I was like the worst part to go to the movies. Like you want to do something, it's like I'll go to the movies, and
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
fuck. Like I'm at the movies, I have to get popcorn. It's like no, you can't get
Yeah.
fucking popcorn.
I'll just sit there and watch it. I mean, like I was thinking about this, like things to do, you know, during my prep. Like I was at a golf range on a weekend, and like my shoulder just got sore like 30 minutes in.
Oh shit, couldn't handle
Yeah,
it.
so even with like bowling a bit ago, I was bowling and I was like my bicep tendon just started feeling a bit off. I was like, God damn it, you really
You can't
can't
do
do
this.
shit
No.
when you're at the top of the game. But yeah, man, I've not watched like films in a while. I've been going through TV shows and stuff. Have you seen
All right.
Snowfall?
I have not.
I binged that. That was really good, to be
Was
fair.
it?
I finished that. Yeah, that was the last like that was the last big thing I watched. I'm trying to think what the last thing I actually went to the movies to watch was. Actually, I remember what it was. It was a horseshit horror film called Night Swim. It
I
was
didn't see
awful.
that.
That was I honestly it felt like it was building up to a horror film all the way through.
Yeah, it looked
Like
horrible.
well, yeah, yeah, it felt like it was building up to something, but it never did, you know.
Yeah.
You're at the end of the film and you're waiting for like the plot to become a thing. It was
That's
just
how
jump scares and people in a house all the way through in a pool.
that's how I felt about Talk to Me.
Oh yeah, I can see that. I did enjoy that film, and I think I appreciated it more when I found out the guy was his first ever film.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's a sequel coming out
Is
already.
there?
Like they filmed them back to back. Yeah,
Oh,
so I
wow.
I think that the other one is meant to be a prequel. Like it's going to lead up to the end of the first film.
Okay. Oh, that would make sense.
I did
Yeah.
like the ending of Talk to Me though. It was fucking cool. Like
I
the
was
very last thing.
yeah, but I thought it ended like I thought there was gonna be more. I was like, that's it.
Yeah. It did like it was slow, and then all of a sudden the credits were just right there, you know, like that ending scene.
Yeah. Yeah. Did
But
you
yeah,
see
I don't think June 2's out here.
oh really? Oh, different release
Yeah,
dates.
you usually get films before us, but yeah.
That's wild. Yeah, I don't know why it is. Sometimes films would be like released in a different country over there,
Yeah. I
like a year,
remember,
but like a year before, and then come out a year
yeah.
later.
So we got Avengers like a month before you did, and I remember like people on Facebook going onto them like tagging Americans in the comments and just posting spoilers of the very last Avengers film
I
because it
wonder why.
came
I
out
wonder why
here
they
a
do
day
that.
before. Yeah, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I
no, so is it as good as people are saying?
Dune 2.
Mhm.
It was pretty good. There's gonna be a third one, so there's 6 books,
Yeah,
but they're only covering the first 2 books, and then they're not gonna make any more. But
yeah.
I mean, yeah, the
I've
story's
never
pretty cool.
seen the original.
Yeah, the original in the 80s.
Yeah, I've not seen it, but I know obviously like that's why they've rebuilt it because it's a cult classic, right?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
No, I
I
haven't
want.
seen it.
I wonder if they'll ever make a. I think it would be really cool to make a movie about bodybuilding. Nobody's ever made a movie about bodybuilders, like a fucking like a Rocky story. But then it comes back to the thing
Yeah,
of like bodybuilding so fucking boring. How do you make that into a movie?
yeah. The best bodybuilding film is Pain and Gain. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, of course. I got arrested
That
the night
shit
I
is
watched
so
that in eighth
stupid.
grade.
Yeah, that shit is so stupid. I love the part when The Rock is like barbecuing that guy's fingernails, and it comes up saying this is still a true story. He's like high off all the cocaine, like barbecuing a guy's fingerprints
Yeah, yeah.
on the front lawn.
Yeah,
That film is crazy.
that was
But
crazy.
yeah, I think a bodybuilding film like you'd have to get someone that knows bodybuilding but's also really good at directing a film basically because you could make that shit and interesting to watch for someone that's can appreciate a good film because there are some films that the average person would say are boring that are really good. I mean,
Yeah.
June's one of them, right? From what I hear, like you said, the first one is like a world building film, right? As
Mm-hmm.
far as I've heard, which for most people won't appreciate a world building film, whereas like I love those kind of films
Yeah.
because then
Yeah.
like when you watch them all, you appreciate the amount of effort that goes into them.
Yeah. No. Bodybuilding movie would be there's so much, it would be very difficult. For one, like you said, you need somebody who understands film very well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's obviously a good fucking film. I know they tried to make one with Callum and it was fucking garbage. The one where they tried to
I
make with
never saw
Arnold.
that. It was bigger, right?
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
terrible, awful.
so
It should be burned. But
mm,
you need a good production, all that shit, cinematography, but then you actually need bodybuilders to play the
that can
part
act,
that can
yeah.
actually
You need
act.
bodybuilders that can actually act. Or you need actors that can do bodybuilding that have like the right shape and everything. Like
Yeah.
you can't have most Hollywood actors that get there. Yeah, they're in great shape and they have great physiques, but they're not bodybuilding
It's not going to
physiques.
affect bodybuilding now. No.
No,
So
no,
it'd be
like you
very
have
hard to
like
do.
Bollywood actors that have like fridge physiques for bodybuilders.
Yeah.
That's not gonna for an accurate bodybuilding film. It's not gonna make sense.
And the public eye, what looks big is fucking
Mhm.
small. It's like really small to us. I know
Yeah,
I saw The Dark Knight Rises the other day. I saw a clip of it. And I remember watching that when I was 12. You remember Bane
Mhm.
and thinking like Bane is fucking huge. Dude, he's fucking
Yeah.
tiny. He's small.
I remember my favorite superhero film growing up was the original X-Men. And like
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman in the first one, like yeah, he's in good shape, but in the first one, it's just like I would believe he didn't train for that first one, and I thought I was so jacked when I was a kid.
That's
Like
crazy.
compared to the later ones, like the Wolverine and stuff, where he is like he's very lean for that film. Like compared
Yeah.
to the first one, he was not in shape. Then I thought he was jacked in the first one. Now I don't think he's jacked in any of them.
Your perception changes so much.
Yeah,
Isn't it like isn't it
yeah.
fucked?
When you're like walking around at 250 and you can meet other people in your like lifestyle and sport that are 60 pounds bigger,
Yeah.
your perception's ruined.
It's like you have the season eye, the experience. It's why I'll look at some people who think like they're fake natties, and you just look at them,
Oh
you're like this
yeah,
guy
yeah,
could be fucking natty. He just has good arms. That's the genetic. He has
yeah,
good arms. His rest
yeah.
is like
Literally,
easily natty.
yeah, literally. It's like certain body parts that to the average person is a physique. Like big arms. Like if you have big arms to the average person, you are a big person.
Yeah.
But to a bodybuilder, it's like it's even the other way where there's like people who have huge delts and no arms, but to the average person they're huge, but you're just looking at their like lack of arms, and it's like hurts to look at, because it is so
Mhm.
wrong from like an aesthetics point of view.
Yeah. No, but they think what they think is naturally attainable is not there. They hyper focus on the one thing, like a big arm or a big chest. It just makes it appear like they have this insane physique, but it's just one thing overpowering everything else, which gives
Yeah,
them that illusion. But then, yeah, I don't know. It's just the perspective is so different now because like it's like almost nothing is impressive. Like you can appreciate things for being impressive, but it's like you'll see somebody and everybody's hyping them up. And the way I see it is there's nothing about this that is crazy to me.
Nah,
It's like I need to see
nah.
some Phil Heath looking motherfucker to be like,
Yeah,
holy
yeah.
shit. Like,
I mean, there's loads of people I've seen on TikTok who blew up from like the TikTok videos, and then I've seen them compete, and I'm just like, oh, okay, like, yeah, go back to the TikTok videos because they look crazy. I don't even mean that in a horrible way, but like on stage, it's just not. I mean, it's like Simeon Panda. He did like one show, and if you go look at that show and then like look at his, photo shoots and like the videos training with people, like it's not so. You can see why he never competed again.
mm-hmm.
It was not. When you compare that to videos of actual, high level pros, he would not have had a career
Yeah, no.
going down
Well,
that path.
the majority of people don't know how to actually analyze a physique for bodybuilding either. Like they just see because Instagram is all about finding the best angle for you, certain poses, and
Yeah,
that's not bodybuilding. There's so many, I can't even tell you backstage. There's so many guys that just stand there backstage and you're like, this guy's fucking huge. He's going to take it. And then he hits a front double and you're like, this guy looks like shit.
yeah.
What just happened? It
See,
just goes
Wesley's
away.
like going back to Wesley, I remember he was stood in front of me because he came out right before me, and I was looking at him and I was like thinking he's not like, it's like he's not really that lean, and then like he just like did a back double and his glutes just came out of nowhere, like every single line he honestly looked like he was like me in off season, like old, like what in my head what I was in off season at the time, and then he just flexed and all these striations came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's crazy when you're backstage. That's when you find out, who's like actually built for that shit and who's not.
Yeah. But then, yeah, you see these guys on TikTok and Instagram, and they like hit like the side poses, and you see all these motherfuckers talking about this guy's the future of bodybuilding. He's this guy's this Chris Bumstead, but you notice this is something you should look for when you're analyzing physiques. If you want to see somebody's actually a competitor, is go through their page and try to find them hitting actual bodybuilding poses, because they rarely do. Try to find them hitting a side chest, a front.
They'll do like those real like twisting poses to like make their weights look small.
Yeah.
And I'm like, like you get someone like Yemi who just stands in front of you and his waist is that big and he's just stood there like exhaling and his waist is like tiny. It doesn't. You'll never see him in real life with his waist looking big.
Mm-hmm.
It's not gonna happen. Like you'll find people genetically like that, or like the whole arms thing, where like people have to like hit certain people whose arms look huge down and then lift them up, and their arms are just gone. Like they just have insertions that look big when their arms are down or relaxed.
Yeah, yeah. So it's an illusion. It's not an illusion. It's just the fact that like there's a different game between just having a good physique to walk around on the beach where it's impressive versus how do they look as an actual bodybuilder.
Yeah,
where are they incomplete?
I've seen a couple of people on TikTok that were like doing this whole thing that they were like calling themselves like 250 lean, and the mean part of me wanted to duet it with me, and like I was 250 and actually lean, but I didn't do that shit. I was like 250 lean is 250 lean because he's 6'3", and really it's like 210 lean for the other for an actual bodybuilder.
Yeah, no, you're not 250 lean. You're 200 pounds and 50 pounds of fat.
Yeah. It's crazy. But yeah, man, like bodybuilding, when you get to a certain level, it's hard to be impressed. The only people I've been impressed with, probably the most impressive physique I've ever seen was Andrew Jacked. Like just that physique, that shit was crazy.
Yeah.
Like I remember like what's his name, Martin? I think is it Martin Fitz or something like that?
Yeah, I trained with Martin.
Yeah. I remember like he wasn't happy and he looks great. Don't get me wrong. Like he looks fucking awesome. But that day, man, like nobody was beating Andrew. Like he was just.
Oh, I know exactly what show you're talking about.
Yeah. It was just, it wasn't happening. Like even James, because, I think James is actually the favorite to win that show. James Hollingshead, obviously, it's his hometown. And, he's known for having that density. But like even he wasn't beating Andrew that day. Just like that physique was just unbelievable. Like that looks like some kind of Flex Wheeler or Kevin Levrone shit that day. His waist was tiny. Again, he's like 6'3", 290, and that was probably the best condition he'd ever been in. He did a podcast, and I think he said that was his favorite look ever. And I remember I was just like jaw dropped.
Yeah,
just unbelievable type shit. He
Yeah.
looks honestly looks about 500 pounds.
That's fucking, yeah. That's crazy. A lot of people don't understand also that people don't understand everything. I feel like I keep having to say that
Yeah.
from an outside perspective, because people will see shows and they'll see how somebody plays and they'll be like, oh, he's just not at their level, or, he needs to have a year off season, or he just needs work, or he needs to be bigger. But people don't realize that, like, bodybuilding is just one day or 2 days. That person
Yeah.
could have beat that person, but because however they approach that peak week or something went wrong, or they use a diuretic or they didn't, or, whatever, however they approach it, can completely change the way you look on stage and throw everything off. So it's not a matter of that person really isn't better than that person. They very well could be, but on that day, they just weren't, just that day. So
Yeah,
people
no,
always,
I think the guy who he placed fourth or fifth, he was a French guy. So he beat everyone except Andrew the week after. He was fifth, I think, and he lost. There was four guys ahead of him. Three of them did the show a week after, and he was ahead. It's not like he made a year's worth of progress. Like you said, it's just that timing. That the week after was the perfect time for him, and it wasn't a great time for everyone else.
mm-hmm.
It's just the way bodybuilding is. There's too many factors that can play a role into. So I mean, even with Ramon and Wesley, I would not have. I really thought Wesley was battling for second.
Did you?
Yeah, I just going into the show, when I saw them on stage, I did think he'd won, but like if you'd asked me about predictions, I just couldn't have seen anyone really touching Ramon because of how good he was at the last show, the Olympia.
Ramon hurts his posing he hurts his placing every show because of his posing. You notice that?
Yeah.
Every show.
Yeah.
Every show has not been fixed. I don't know why.
No, he's someone whose genetics and shape is so good that it almost doesn't matter that his posing isn't there, And if he was, he'd be winning everything,
It's crazy.
But, yeah, I can imagine he's probably someone that looks insane in person as well. But yeah, Wesley winning that show, to me, his physique was fucking unbelievable.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And like knowing how tall he is, he would have towered over everyone in person.
He's been around for a long time. It's been a long time coming for him. So it's
definitely,
about time.
I really hope that they put him next to Chris for once and just have like a call out at least of them two. I know they're very different physiques, but it would be good because they're both tall. I mean, Chris is like 6'1", 6'2" or something.
I think they will, honestly, just because even if it's just because of the hype right now, and they probably want to see it. I think
they've put Wesley on the Olympia poster this year.
Did they? Oh yeah, see,
yeah, they've put. I think it's like so now it's like Chris and Wesley at the top, their faces, and then Ramon and Brian and Urs underneath. So
they're fucking building up this drama. They're trying to make this money. That's exactly what they're fucking doing.
I was like, you've wasted no time. It's been like 2 days, 3 days, and it's already posted. But yeah,
that's hilarious. So that'll be exciting to see. Well, all right. How long have we been on? We've been on here for quite some while. I think
for a while, yeah.
Yeah, let's we'll wrap this up now. All right. Anything else you want to touch on? Anything you want to promote?
No, other than obviously Controlled Insanity Athlete. I wasn't last time. All that stuff. I don't know if there's actually anything on the store right now because we do drops, so everything sells out pretty quick. But there will be a drop around the end of March. And yeah, if anyone is interested in that clothing, follow my story. I'll be promoting anything anytime anything releases there.
Okay, well, there you have it. All right, well, thanks for coming on, Nas. We'll look forward to following you during this prep. Are you going to document the prep at all, or are you just going to stay low key?
Yeah, I'll have updates every single week on Instagram and TikTok, like multiple updates, really. As far as YouTube, that's different. Mm-hmm. With a full-on coaching business and like a pro, again, it's a pro prep, so I can't really afford to just make any mistakes or have any setbacks. I'm going to try and just get videos done whenever is easiest for me this year, rather than stressing about trying to get a video done every single week of prep.
Yeah, no, don't worry about that.
I don't have someone following me around in a minute, so if I can, I'll get my cameraman. He's a busy guy. I told you, right? He does work for like Netflix and things like that. He's a full-on, real videographer, not a fitness videographer. So he's someone that when I actually get the time, we'll get videos done.
Oh, well, that would be cool. We'll be looking out for that. But
yeah, all right, your prep videos were awesome, man. And I'm trying to get some videos at that level. Those were awesome.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot that went into that, but yeah, I mean, obviously, I can't do that. Can't do that yourself. You need somebody with you all the time, basically, to get something like that done. And honestly, it'd be a lot better to do once you're at the top. Obviously, once you're at the top, the opportunity is going to come. People are going to want to work with you anyways. So, but yeah, man. All right. Well, thanks for coming on. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. And we'll see you on the next episode of Brass Tack Bodybuilding. Peace out.